All right, let's get it drive time. It is a Wednesday afternoon. It's about 12 minutes past the hour, 2 o'clock. Quick check, about 93 degrees and sunny here in downtown Salt Lake City, Utah on this beautiful yet hot July Wednesday afternoon. And as it is every single day, it is good to have you along for the ride. Spence Checketts behind the mic. That is Porter Larson behind the glass. This is our final show, not forever. Not even this week. It's just our final show in studio this week. We are going to be up at the Utah Softball Stadium tomorrow, the Dumke Family Stadium, and we'll be live on site all day. So come hang out with us. Scott Mitchell, 10 to 11. Sean will take over from 11 to 2 in this little old radio show, the Afternoon Drive program, entitled The Drive with Spence Checketts. We'll go from 2 to 6 at the Dumke Family Stadium. And it is Sports Center's 50 States in 50 Days. They're sending a personality to each state. And we are going to be hanging out with Scooby McGeeza. Is that his name? Do you know this fella's name?
Yes.
It's Scooby McGeeza?
Yeah.
So is he on Sports Center?
Correct.
Is he like a Sports Center anchor?
He's a Sports Center anchor. Yes.
Do you know who he is?
He's on fairly regularly.
Is he?
Yeah.
Can we not get Van Pelt?
I don't think so. I think he declined.
So
I think he's on vacation, actually.
Okay. Shout out Scooby. We're going to be hanging out with Scooby. I've seen him on Sports Center a ton. Is it McGeeza? I need to make sure.
I think that is correct.
Okay.
But,
will you check? Because apparently I'm going to be hanging out with him tomorrow.
I'll check it out for you. And yes, I think he's going to stop by. Some former Utah softball players that are playing up there, I think, might stop by. So go do some batting practice with Spence and Scott.
I will not be doing batting practice. I don't know why Scott Mitchell agreed to do that. Have you seen those girls throw a softball? I'm not.
Come on.
I don't need to tear my rotator cuff trying to hit a softball.
Come on.
You think I should?
I think you should. I think we should write it in the contract.
Do you have any spikes? Do you have any cleats?
Yeah.
You
I
do not.
I do.
You have baseball spikes?
I got metal cleats, yeah.
What size shoe do you wear?
10 and a half.
I'm a 10.
I got you.
Okay. Well, I brought you some clothes yesterday. At least you could do is hook me up with some cleats.
Yeah, I'll trade you. Roan for spikes.
Okay, so come hang out with us at the Dumke Family Softball Stadium as my guy, who I watch all the time on Sports Center, Scooby McGee's is rolling up. Shout out Scooby. So that's tomorrow. Dumke Family Stadium, going to be live all day. Sports Center sending one personality to all 50 states in 50 days. And my favorite Sports Center anchor, Scooby McGeeza, is going to be along for the ride. All right, hello, how are you? And then on Friday, we're going to be on remote at Tim Daly, so this is our final show in studio today. A lot to do on a Wednesday edition of The Drive. The Utah Jazz are back in action, kind of, Summer League tonight. No Ace Bailey, no Walt Clayton Jr., no Kyle Filipowski. I believe John Tonje is also going to be held out. So I don't know who's going to play. Maybe the Harkless kid. But Summer League action feels a lot like regular season action in the NBA where employees don't show up to work. But there is some NBA offseason news of note. Brad Beal's on his way to the Clippers. The Phoenix Suns will save an estimated $200 million. After Brad Beal has agreed to a buyout with the Suns, he will join the Clippers on a 2-year, $11 million deal with a player option after he clears waivers. So the Phoenix Suns are going all in to try to rebuild around Devin Booker, and the L.A. Clippers are dangerous on paper, but they're still the Clippers. So there you go. Summer League action in the NBA tonight. Bradley Beal is on his way to Los Angeles. So a little bit of NBA offseason. Some news for you there. RSL's in action tonight, taking on the Portland Timbers at Providence Park up in Portland, Oregon. And the Major League Baseball All-Star Game took place last night. They have an interesting new wrinkle with the Major League Baseball All-Star Game, where they do not go to extra innings. They actually have a kind of a truncated home run derby to decide the whole thing. And I got to admit, it was entertaining. I watched it with my dad and brother. They're in town, so we checked it out last night. And I was surprised at how entertaining the final stanza was, as it was deadlocked at 6 runs apiece after 9 innings. It was the first swing-off, unfortunate name there, first swing-off in Major League Baseball All-Star Game history. Of course, it no longer determines the home field advantage for the World Series, which was always a dumb thing. So a little Major League Baseball on the program today as we are halfway home the Major League Baseball season. Day 3 of SEC Media Days in Atlanta, Georgia. The Big Ten came out today and said they are going to continue to keep their feet in the cement when it comes to the new college football playoff, kind of setup where they're Going to be adamant about 4 automatic bids for their conference, along with the SEC as well. So we do have some college football on the show. We're about 45 days away from University of Utah football as far as game day goes. So there you go. A lot to do on the show today. Good guest list. We'll start things off with Andy Larson, covers the Jazz for the Salt Lake Tribune. Trevor Riley will be live in studio for an entire hour. And for those of you that have been listening to my show for a number of years, either here at the old station or at the old station, whenever Trevor stops by, I have no idea what we're going to do, but I can tell you it's going to be a lot of fun. Trevor's got a new gig. I'll let him tell you about that. And we'll bring Trev in. Jason Kreis will join us today to preview tonight's RSL match taking on the Portland Timbers. And then Zach Harper, who I believe is live in Vegas for the Vegas Summer League, will stop by for some NBA in addition to the other guests on the show today. So Andy Larson, Trevor Riley, Jason Kreis, Zach Harper, me, Spence Checketts, all of you, the great listeners, and that guy, Porter Larson, who killed our bump music, which always makes me feel like an idiot. It throws me out of my routine.
You feel alone in there?
Well, it throws me out of my routine. You know this by now.
You even got your support dog in there. You're okay.
Duke is actually a registered emotional support dog. Did you know that?
I didn't.
He is.
Where's his vest?
He doesn't have the skills.
I was going to say, if he's wearing it, he's going to look a little
He does
just like running around begging for treats.
He's just technically registered as one, but he does not have the skill set. Like,
That's
if
fair.
I brought him into a grocery store, he would just eat all the cheese.
Yeah.
So, technically he's registered, but he does not have the skill set. I could not take him on an airplane.
Well, he looks the part.
Did you watch any of the Major League Baseball All-Star game last night?
I did watch a little bit of the end. I'm okay with the ending. It's an all-star game. We don't need to go. We don't need to go to extra innings.
I totally agree.
But we also did already have a home run derby. I would like to see Spence, much like the dunk contest. Like, the home run derby should be the top 5 home run guys, no matter what. But it was, I think, a fun all-star weekend, and one that other leagues might look to for some ideas. Now, it's baseball. You can't translate everything. But baseball in general is a sport that's like not seeing a huge surge in watching, in attention. But the All-Star game actually seems to be kind of a draw, which is the opposite trend that you're seeing in football, basketball, etc., in All-Star events. So, I don't know, maybe something to look at.
Yeah, I think the NBA could learn a thing or two, because to Porter's point, it is an all-star game. It's supposed to be fun after all. All right, we'll do a little Jazz Summer League and some NBA offseason, maybe a little RSL with Andy Larson. Then Trev stops by for some college football. He will tell you about his new gig. But before we bring in Andy, courtesy of our good friends at the AUSL Softball League. AUSL Softball League coming to Salt Lake City July the 16th through the 19th at the Dumke Stadium at the University of Utah. You can text softball right now to 877-353-0700 to win 2 tickets. That's softball to 877-353-0700 to win 2 tickets. I want to remind you that we will be up at the Dumke Family Stadium tomorrow all day, live on site. And ESPN has sent my favorite Sports Center anchor, Scooby Magiza, to hang out with us. So shout out to Scooby on a Wednesday. All right, jumping around a little bit, the Jazz will be in action tonight in Summer League, kind of. This is another situation where the Jazz are holding out the majority of the players that all of you want to watch. So no Ace Bailey, no Walt Clayton Jr., and as of about 2 hours ago, no Kyle Filipowski. And according to what Tony Jones and Andy Larson are reporting, John Tonje is also questionable. So not a lot to learn tonight from the Jazz Wizards at the Thomas & Mack Center in Las Vegas, Nevada. But we will talk some NBA offseason today. Tim McMahon, who joined us yesterday, kind of put to bed the idea that the Jazz are looking to move on from Lauri Markkanen. And if the Jazz are going to hold on to Lauri, I'm not sure that we'll see any other piece of movement at all. Looks like the roster is set rotationally. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I don't know that Summer League will change anybody's mind about who's going to start, who's going to sit. Of course, the deck has been cleared for these young players to get some minutes. Colin Sexton, Jordan Clarkson, and John Collins have all been moved on. So a couple of positional battles to watch out for. I would imagine Walker Kessler is your starting center. I would imagine Lauri Markkanen is your starting power forward. Interesting what Will did last year to clear some space for John Collins to start. He moved Lauri to the 3. Now, Will and most other coaches in the NBA aren't necessarily married to positions the way that NBA coaches once used to be married to positions. So maybe there'll be some fluid situations as far as the starting lineup goes. Ace Bailey and Taylor Hendricks probably will compete for potentially maybe a starting job, but most likely a sixth man or seventh man coming off the bench. I do think Walt Clayton Jr. has a chance to start a point guard over Isaiah Collier. Even though we saw Isaiah for an entire year as a rookie, Walt is older than he is, and honestly, I think he's more well-rounded than Isaiah Collier is. Certainly just a better shot maker, pure shot maker, and he's got the same court vision Isaiah does. Isaiah stronger than he is, gets to the bucket a little bit better. As far as an on-ball defensive player, the Jazz don't really have great perimeter players. That's going to plague them all year long. But remember, this year for the Jazz is going to look a lot like it did a year ago, just without the lying about the injuries, without the unserious nature of competing, without honestly approaching it with a serious lack of integrity, in my opinion, with what they did a year ago, which leads to the conversation about what sort of culture you're trying to build. You know, as we've honored the life of Frank Layden, who left us last week at the age of 93, and will continue to do so, throughout the next couple of weeks, Frank had a couple of really good sayings. And ultimately, one of them I've landed on is this documentary that our friends at KSL did about the 1983-1984 Jazz team. Frank was interviewed, and he said, there really are no bad cities. There are only bad teams and bad organizations. And so the narrative that exists about, okay, it's the modern day and age of the NBA, and we can't do what Frank Layden did with the Jazz. We can't do what they did with the Jazz for 20-plus years anymore. It's so BS, and it really is an excuse for you being bad at your job. Okay, when you look at Oklahoma City, okay, we could go on and on. Minnesota, Indiana, some of the best teams in pro basketball right now and some of the best organizations in pro basketball right now exist in cities that aren't as good as ours, in my opinion. San Antonio, another one. Now, San Antonio is like your aunt who takes her Social Security check every month up to Wendover to see if she can cash in and suddenly comes back with like $450,000. Like, yes, they get the luck that we haven't received here in Salt Lake City. But I do hear this narrative that comes from people in the organization right now that it's impossible to replicate what the Jazz were able to do in the 80s and 90s. That's an excuse. It's an excuse that you're making because you're bad at this. And maybe you can figure it out at some point. But don't lean into these narratives that you can't get it done in this day and age of the NBA when all of us have eyes and ears and we can see what's going on in other cities that aren't, in my opinion, near on par with ours, right? So, yes, this season for the Jazz will feature a lot of young players. I do think they'll be more serious about competing, and hopefully they won't have the lack of integrity they did a year ago because, yes, building a culture is real. And in the 4 years now, since you moved on from Mitchell and Gobert and Quinn took off and Dennis left, you have failed miserably at building any sort of culture. You have lost intentionally. You've approached it with no integrity. You've lied about injuries. And you have manipulated minutes in order to lose games for lottery luck. No, you're not the only team that's doing it. But my hope is with a new decision maker in the front office and a fresh new approach, now you can actually start building something that this fan base can get excited about, because I can tell you there are a number of Jazz fans across the market that are disenfranchised with what you're doing. We'll catch a break. We'll bring in Andy Larson. We've got Trevor Riley. We've got Jason Kreis and Zach Harper. We've got a busy Wednesday show. So keep it right here on ESPN 700. because I have no idea what's going to happen whenever Trev stops by. He does have a new gig. I'll let him tell you about that. We have Jason Christ joining the show as RSL is in action tonight in Portland, and then Zach Harper live in Vegas. But we'll start things off with our next guest who just landed from Las Vegas, Andy Larson from the Salt Lake Tribune. All right, up or down? Did you hit the tables? How'd we do?
I did. Played some $5 minimum craps. It was a combo machine, combo reel thing, craps table, but it was honestly a lot of fun. Was at the tables with Sarah Todd most of the time, and we ended up both being up about $100.
That is a big. You're the big winner, Andy. You're the big winner if you leave Vegas up $100. So good work there. Hey, before we get to summer league, before we get to off-season stuff, since you and I last spoke in this space, we lost Frank Layden last week at the age of 93. And, you're not just a media member who's covered the Jazz now for a decade or so. You're a lifelong Jazz fan. So your thoughts on the life and legacy of Frank Layden as he passed away a week ago?
Yeah, I'm 34, born in 91, and so missed his coaching career. But one of my first basketball memories is still the basketball bloopers video series he did with Marv Albert. And just learning, that was such a fun introduction to how much fun basketball can be. And I think that opened the eyes of a lot of young people, including myself, about that. And then, got to know Frank a little bit through the course of this job, have interviewed him on the radio a couple of times. When I see him about, would obviously say hello. And I think there's a realistic case that he is the most important figure in Jazz history. And I know that there are big ones. There's John Stockton, Karl Malone, Jerry Sloan, but he brought all of those people to Utah, right? He drafted Stockton and Malone in 84 and 85. He brought Jerry Sloan to Utah. He, did step down from the coaching job at the right time. Is the only figure in NBA history to win a Coach of the Year and an Executive of the Year in the same year. And then just personality-wise, I think just pushed this franchise and the idea of pro basketball in Utah so hard and made it so welcoming to fans that, it made this fan base fall in love with this team. And I don't know that Utah has a franchise without Frank Layden. I don't know that I have a job without Frank Layden. And his impact from 1979 on forward is just monumental and will be severely missed.
Follow up kind of in this space a little bit, but we'll bring it to the modern day and age of the Utah Jazz. I've heard people say, several people say, that it's no longer possible for a team that plays in Salt Lake City to do what Frank did, to do what, that front office and coaching staff did with Scott and Jerry and, Kevin O'Connor, that basically for 20, if not 30 years, you are a competitive team with a solid organization that's well respected across the NBA. I mean, Smitty always tells this story of, talking with Sam Presti when Sam was with the Spurs and Sam telling Smitty, like, we're just trying to do what you guys do. And Popovich all the time referenced Jerry Sloan and Scott Layden and the Utah Jazz, and Scott spent some time in San Antonio. Like, some of the best franchises in the NBA were trying to do what the Jazz did under the Miller stewardship. And I just push back on the narrative that you can't do anything like that anymore. Now, maybe it's hard to have that consistency with a new CBA that obviously is difficult to build dynasties and keep those teams together, and that's intentional. I understand that. But when I say to you, there are people that believe it's not possible for this Jazz organization to do what that Jazz organization did, what's your response?
Yeah, I think it has to be a little bit different, but I think that future Jazz organizations, can be successful. I don't know. It's so hard to find a John Stockton and Karl Malone that will be with your team for 20 seasons. What you can do is just make good decisions and build a team. And, I think you can still be the San Antonio Spurs. Obviously, we just saw the Oklahoma City and the Indiana Pacers, the Thunder and the Pacers in the NBA Finals, right? Like, we've seen multiple small market teams have success. The Denver Nuggets have the best player in the league, and he wants to stay there, right? Like, I think you see what Giannis and the Milwaukee Bucks are, and even though, there have been rumors about the trading Giannis. Giannis is still in Milwaukee and says he likes playing in Milwaukee, and looks like most likely going into next season he's going to be in Milwaukee for the 9th or 10th consecutive year. So I do think you can. I do think you can do what the Jazz did, and you make the playoffs for 20 years in a row, and then the hope and ideal is that not only can you do that, but also win the NBA Finals like the Thunder and Bucks and Nuggets have done. So, yeah, like I see that kind of like small market thinking is kind of limiting, and it's just not reflective of what the NBA has actually been over the last 5 years.
When I was prepping for the show that we did on Monday that was all about Frank, came across a couple of videos. Our friends at KSL did a documentary on the 83-84 team that really was the first good team that we had here, made the postseason. You referenced earlier Frank winning coach and executive of the year. It was that season when he traded for Dantley and he had Ricky Green, and they won the Midwest Division and went to the playoffs and won a round. One of the things Frank said in that documentary was, there's no such thing as bad cities. There just are bad teams and bad organizations. And, it just kind of struck me as we're really now entering year 4 of what I perceive to be a clunky rebuild without the baseline start of building a culture. I haven't seen it because there's been ambiguity about the process. And are you trying to be good? Okay, you're kind of good. Now you're bad again. Now you're kind of good. Now you're bad again. It does feel like with a new decision maker in the front office, there is a new direction, but you've got to start building culture. I mean, Frank talked about that, and that can be a little bit cliche, Andy, oftentimes in sports. But if you talk to any owner or executive or coach or player that's been around a winning organization for a long, long time, they all reference the culture that was built from the ground up. Do you think that there is a culture being built the right way with the Jazz currently?
It's near the bottom, right? One of the benefits of being in Vegas for Summer League is it is the NBA's convention. You end up talking to a lot of people around the league, and there are just a lot of people who wonder, what the Jazz have done for the last 3 years. This has been, like you called it, a clunky rebuild. I think there's widespread kind of belief in Will Hardy as a culture setter and as someone who can build that, but you also have to have talismanic players that set that culture. And while Lauri Markkanen is their best player, is not a culture setter. And I think the young players have, frankly, at times suffered from a lack of that culture. I think there has been a renewed emphasis to work on that this offseason, but on court, you don't see any benefits of culture whatsoever, right? Like, it is the worst defense in the league. They don't share the ball particularly well, and so on. So, yeah, and then, you just hired a new lead basketball decision maker this summer to kind of start that again. So, I think it is important to the Jazz's decision makers to establish that culture, but where the Jazz are now, culture-wise, is pretty reflected in where their record is, right? Like, they are going to be, the MGM has their over-under total at 18 next year, and it's their worst over-under total for any team in the NBA over the last 10 years. Like, they are tanking, and that's, maybe they tank differently than last year, where they actually try to win the games with the players they have, but they've tanked with the talent they've chosen to put on the roster. And so they will have to build culture for next year and the years to come in order to become something, I think, that they want to become a perennial playoff team and obviously then an NBA Finals contender.
The other thing, and then we'll move on, is I feel like with any team, any level that actually has been successful in building a culture over a number of years that has led to winning and success, you can define it. You can actually use terms for it. Like Frank and Jerry both used to say, and Frank and Jerry are a throwback, okay? And so I know I sound like the old guy yelling at the cloud, but you heard things like show up on time, play hard, play smart. And to your point, you have to have the players. Like I can remember when I was at the University of Utah, my professor gave us all a project where he said, you go find somebody that is in the profession that you're interested in, interview them, and, do this project and come back and present it in front of the class. And I sat down with Scott Layden, who was the GM of the Jazz. And the first question I asked him, I said, who are the most important people in your organization? And he didn't even flinch. He said, it's John and Carl. He didn't say Jerry, didn't say Larry. He said, it's John and Carl. because without those players, obviously that 20-year run is not possible at all. So to your point about the talent on the roster, maybe once they find some players that are actually high-level NBA guys, the culture can become more definable because you achieve more success. But if I asked you to define what the Jazz culture is now with a reductive statement, can you even land on it? Because I was thinking about it all morning. I don't know what it is.
It's hard. I mean, I think the closest I can get is to kind of the Will Hardy principles, right? Which I wrote about 2 seasons ago now, but kind of he has these catchphrases or slogans that he says over and over and over again. But I'm not sure that the Jazz have lived up to, and I don't know that it's Will's fault, but so no free minutes is a classic example, right? Says no free minutes all the time. Well, look, he's given a lot of guys a lot of free minutes over the last 12 months and looks to be giving them for another 12 months because that's just the reality of the roster. I think there are, I think he's trying to build cultural pieces and again, touchstones. And when you ask Austin Ames about that, for example, like we did at the press conference, he says, I want tough, hard-nosed physical players, right? Like they want to return to that. We have not seen any evidence of that on the court. And ultimately, I think only limited evidence of that in terms of who they've drafted recently, right? So where they've had, I think, frankly, a lot of skilled guys who are not that tough, but may need to develop that over the course of their careers. And maybe they do. But, again, they're at the beginning of that. And with new leadership in charge, that kind of makes some sense that it would take some time to reevaluate. But there's nearly, I don't think there's anyone in this organization that's still around from the John Stockton and Karl Malone era. And as a result, that culture is – it's hard to say that it still is with the Jazz.
Yeah, and look, the other thing is, and we should acknowledge, as we have, that Austin Ames is now in charge. But last year, if I had $1 for every time I heard pups can't raise pups, okay, all right, so that's why we bring in a Patty Mills and a Drew Eubanks. Well, now it's all pups and one, dog that's like middle age and Lowry Marketing. It's a completely different approach. I mean, last year we heard that walking line, like pups can't raise pups, and now it's only pups, right? I mean, it's just like a different approach.
Yeah, agreed. And I think personally, I give Austin Ames some credit for that because
agreed. I want to be clear.
Pups can't raise pups was kind of dumb. Like it made last season make no sense at all, and did kill culture. And I think you can develop some sort of a culture by having young guys kind of work together and push for a common thing that you can't have by having John Collins sit 42 games while he's healthy, right? Like I last year didn't make a lot of sense in a lot of ways. This year is not, I don't know, going to be a lot of better from a win-losses perspective, but hopefully it makes just more sense in that hopefully they will be trying to win rather than lose out.
And last thing here, one more thing, because I really, I don't want to belabor the point, but I just don't think with, competitive personalities, and if you're a professional athlete, if you're a professional coach, you've been able to get to the highest level of what you do because of your competitive nature. I don't think you can make any traction, even if you're not winning games, if you're unserious about competing, right? If you're unserious about competition, you are setting expectations in all the wrong ways in an area of commerce where in order to achieve, you just have to compete even if you're not winning. Does that make sense?
Yeah, agreed. And then, so then the same is kind of true for this season a little bit, where if you've traded the veterans away, it does make sense. But then I think you also know the young players have like an infinite rope now, and also they know that the franchise is not trying to win this year. And so maybe it's a little bit better than when you were sitting guys out and there were guys actively in the locker room who you could see face to face that it didn't matter for, but still, Austin Ames, based on the moves he made this season, would prefer that you be a bottom 8 team so you don't have to lose the OKC pick, right? So Yeah, I mean, it's what we've talked about for nearly every week for years on this, is that this is going to be a long rebuild with a lot of elements to build, and the Jazz aren't one or two pieces away; they're 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 10 pieces away, with maybe the culture piece being one of those pieces.
Give me your best guess at the starting 5 opening night.
It's a good question. I think they stay with Isaiah at point guard. I think they will probably wait to give that to Walter Clayton. I don't think they want to give that to Keontae. And then at the 2, again, I think you avoid starting Keontae by actually starting Ace Bailey at the 2, which we'll see if he deserves it, and it's a bummer we've missed out on seeing him in Summer League. But, again, if you're turning over the keys, it just makes sense to give them to Ace. And then I like Lauri Markkanen at the 3, Kyle Filipowski at the 4, Walker Kessler at the 5. I think there's a world in which Filipowski and Taylor Hendricks come off the bench, and then you play someone else at 3. You play Bryce Sensabaugh or Steve Mikhailiuk or something. But to me, those are the 5 guys that I feel best about trying to create a core together with, and it also kind of makes sense from a basketball point of view, where you have 3 or 4 shooters around Walker Kessler. You can do some fun off-ball things. You don't have any sort of playmaking or ball handling, but it's hard to find that on the roster anyway. And then you're giving Ace Bailey the chance to show what he can do defensively too. And I think Kyle Filipowski has shown that he deserves to get major minutes. So that's what I think is probably most likely right now. But again, it's hard to know without having seen more of Ace. And maybe they feel like they want to start Bryce or something.
Excuse me. Let's extend it. So let's say you're correct that it's Isaiah, then it's Ace, and then it's Walker at center, it's Markkanen at power forward, and then Filipowski at small forward. So those are the starting 5. I'll give you another 5. Say
Filipowski at the 4 and Markkanen at the 3.
Okay. But yes, but those are the 5. I'll give you another 5 because it's not a playoff team, so we're gonna have to worry about cutting it to 8 or 9 or whatever. And Will last year sometimes played 11 or 12 guys. So I'll give you another 5 players after that starting 5 that will be in the rotation. What does that look like?
So Keontae, whichever one of Isaiah or Walter we didn't put in the starting lineup, Bryce Sensabaugh, Taylor Hendricks, and probably Yusuf Nurkic as your backup center.
So that leaves Cody Williams outside of the top 10. Yeah?
Yeah, I did forget about Cody. Okay, yeah, we got to play Cody. And then, still haven't figured out what happens with Kyle Anderson or Kevin Love. I think it's more likely that they find landing spots or buyouts for those guys. But, yeah. But in terms of just talent, Cody Williams is probably the guy of those 10 that deserves least to be in the 10, if that makes sense.
Have you seen anything positive from Cody during his summer league outing?
Yeah, honestly, he's not a good isolation player. He's not a good pick and roll player. What he has done well at Summer League is attack closeouts or attack rotating defenses when they're pressuring other players, and then he can kind of take advantage of that space. I think he's a little bit quicker than he was, and he can get to the rim and finish. And his ability to finish at the rim is the best thing about him. Everything else is still super up in the air. So the rebounding, the assisting, the man-to-man defense, I think team defense, he's in the right place. He just doesn't do anything with it. But he has had a couple of 16 to 18 to 20-point nights on the back of getting the ball in the right space and attacking, and then making some open threes, which, as we know, he really struggled at last year, making only 25%. So I think there's a world in which, he shoots 33% this year from 3 and can attack closeouts and be fine. But, he doesn't look like he's likely to take a big jump from what he was last year, which was obviously disappointing for a number 10 pick.
So let's lean into some of the good, because as you referenced, Filipowski has played in a way that indicates he's been working really hard during the offseason and is ready to capitalize on what was a surprising rookie year. I mean, if we're going to kind of crack on the front office for Cody, it's not fair to crack on anybody for Taylor because he was hurt, and I still think he's got a shot. We got to give him credit for finding Filipowski where they did, certainly. So what has stood out most about Kyle's Summer League performance, and what do you think it says about what we could see year two?
Yeah, I mean, kind of the aggression and his ability to dominate the game to the extent that, like, we think that he was capable of, but that he's actually doing it is awesome. That he can score. Basically, the quick trigger from outside is something that only a few 7-footers in the league have, and he is taking them extremely quickly and extremely well in Summer League, which is great. But more than that, like, and we've seen the 3-point percentage fluctuate game over game, which it's going to. That's very cool. He's dominating inside. Like, he is able to score and finish with a variety of moves and real fluidity from 15 feet in. And against big guys, against smaller big guys, against switches, he's been awesome. The rebounding has been there, which the rebounding is, I think, a fair question mark with him, is how does he do against the biggest centers in the league? And certainly we don't see many of those in Summer League, but he's had double-digit rebounds in most of these games. And then, I think the question mark that still is there, but I have seen some improvement, is interior defense, right? Like, is he soft down low? Can he force misses? Can he make opponents' life tough down there? And I think he did much better in the San Antonio game recently than he did in kind of previous games where he did get ran over a little bit still. And ultimately, in the NBA, he still is probably kind of matchup dependent, where you can't necessarily play him like 30, 35 minutes a night because of that, at least from what I see. But I think there's room to grow there. And I do see that he has gotten, actually visually stronger and better at that down low in Summer League than he was, say, a year ago. So really promising stuff. He's the leading scorer in the Vegas Summer League. And again, I think given a relative dearth of like what we've seen from young guys, that Kyle may be the best bet because of all the things he can do, especially offensively.
It's a conversation like in Vegas about essentially all, if not the majority, of the players that anybody cares to see more or less being shut down. Not every night, but tonight the Jazz are playing kind of most of the players, if not all, that we want to see won't play. Cooper shut down early. Dylan Harper's been shut down. And I know it's the reality of regular season basketball, but now it's crept into Summer League. What's kind of the tone and tenor of the conversation down there about that dynamic?
Yeah, I mean, extreme disappointment and annoyance, right? Like, everyone's flying to Vegas where it's 120 degrees outside to see the best of the best play. And, okay, sure, it's important for your two-way scrubs and, G League scrubs and overseas guys to try to get minutes and show what they can do too. But, like, the fans and a large swath of the NBA general managers and kind of big media, of course, like, want to see the lottery play. And yeah, like Cooper Flag sitting out, kind of everyone begrudgingly understands it, but it's stuff like, yeah, the Ace Bailey day-to-day game in and game out, or like VJ Edgecombe, he has a bruised thumb, we're not sure if he can play. Like, even though by all accounts they are practicing, that they're not playing in the games is really disappointing. And so, I think I think there is somewhat of a, I don't know, maybe taking it too much for granted from the teams themselves that the players they have are actually good. And like Cooper Flag, I think, has shown that, and we know that. But like Ace Bailey hasn't shown, frankly, that he is good and could really benefit, I think, from time on the court in game settings with fellow Jazz players that, that he's missing out on. And I feel that way about Taylor Hendricks, and I feel that way about like John Tonje, and I feel about that way from the Sixers' point of view on BJ Edgecombe. Like, these are not close to being guys who are ready to play like major roles in the NBA and be positives yet. Like, they do just have to get that experience, and I think it's a bummer that we're not seeing more of them.
All right, Andy, before I set you loose, how about our red hot Real Salt Lake going for their fifth unbeaten match tonight in Portland? Summer window will open coming up in 8 days. So, look, it's a long year, and it was a horrible start, but they've been better as of late. How you feeling about the Claret and Cobalt?
Yeah, I mean, better. Like, it is okay. So bad schedule over the last 4 games, right? Like some of the worst teams in the league, but they have taken care of business, and that's been fun to see. I think figuring out Noah Caliscan at the back has been actually hugely beneficial, right? Like has made their defense into something significant and harder to break down. And I think we've seen that in the clean sheet. I think the attack is still kind of wishy-washy and bits and spurts, but you can poach a random goal off a corner, or and in the case of 2 weeks ago, have one of your players hit a worldie, every now and then. You still want to see actual additions in the transfer window, and you want to see them make $5 to $10 million of expenditures over the course of multiple positions. And we'll see if that happens, and we will criticize or praise them if that happens. But I guess my last thought is also I am mad at them for raising my season ticket price 10% in a year where they've been bad.
I did not even know that. Okay, Andy. Well, welcome back into town. Go ahead.
Yep. No, it is what it is with these ownership groups now.
Yep. Well said. Thanks, buddy. We'll chat soon.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, stay tuned. Trevor Riley is live in studio for an entire hour, which means fun radio. We'll never know where we're going to go. Non sequiturs, chaos, up and down. He's got a new gig. I'll let him tell you about that. But before we catch a break, let's welcome my friend Jeff from Pure Life Medical on a Wednesday. Jeff, happy Wednesday, sir. How are you?
Hey, doing great. How about you?
I'm well. Thanks for the time. So you guys provide a lot of services at Pure Life Medical, but a big one is stem cell therapy. Tell us how it works.
Yeah, it's amazing. Stem cell therapy is one of the coolest things out there in modern medicine. We're really proud to do it really well in our clinic. In simple terms, stem cell therapy is a little like giving your body a team of elite repair cells that go straight to the source of the problem to help repair damaged tissue, reduce inflammation, and regenerate healthy function. It's really a game changer for people that are dealing with chronic pain, limited mobility, joint problems, or slow recovery from injuries even. And instead of masking symptoms or just covering the problems temporarily, this really goes to the central core of healing itself. And we've been able to really see some amazing results in patients who are, now able to walk when they weren't before. Maybe they're feeling their feet when they weren't before. Their knees are working better, whereas they were struggling before. It's really great stuff to see.
So how do you know if you need, Jeff, or could benefit from stem cell therapy?
Well, your body may be telling you, and may be telling you in your joints especially. A lot of people struggle with their knees, back, shoulders, hips. They begin to get arthritis and other things that just have accumulated over the years. And that's kind of like your body waving a red flag. This robs people of their joy, their freedom, their mobility, their ability to do all the things that they really want to do in their life. And these new cells can really help to, help those tissues regenerate, reduce the inflammation, and accelerate that healing process. And the really cool thing that we have in our clinic is a lot of experience. We really have over 40 years of combined experience among our providers, treating thousands of patients. And so we really kind of know what works and what doesn't. And the coolest thing of all, too, is even if stem cell therapy isn't exactly what you're looking for, not the right fit for you, we have a whole toolbox full of natural therapies, from hormone optimization to peptide therapy to all sorts of things to help people, heal, thrive, and feel your best.
How can people, before I set you loose, Jeff, how can people go about getting a consultation with you at Pure Life Medical?
Yeah, we can do a free consultation to see if these things are right for you, and they can just give us a call at 385-342-2598. Again, that's 385-342-2598.
Jeff, thank you, sir. Have a great day. We'll chat soon.
Thank you.
Pure Life Medical, give them a call, 385-342-2598. That's 385-342-2598, 385-342-2598. So check them out and get a consultation. It's good stuff. We'll catch a break, and Trevor Riley is live in studio. Coming up on the other side right here on ESPN 700. Just a quick check-in. Did we get nominated for an ESPY tonight? Are we not? Are we on the docket? Did we get nominated?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I think we were snubbed.
Snubbed again. You know, what's the deal? We've been.
Do they have radio? I'm sure they do radio.
I don't know. I haven't watched the ESPYs in years. You know, we've been nominated for Best Radio Show in Salt Lake 6 straight years. And then we just go to the dinner and watch Radio from Hell accept the award.
Yeah. Yeah, that's...
We're the Susan Lucci of Sports Talk Radio.
Who's that?
You are so young.
Susan Lucci.
It's a weird poll. I believe, and I'll have to look this up, I think she was a soap opera actress that was nominated for Emmys like for 30 straight years and like never won it. I believe that was Susan Lucci. And I'm not that old, so maybe an older listener can help us out.
Like Leo, right? Even though he's like a star, he didn't win the main one for a long time, right?
Did he? He won it for The Revenant, though, right?
Yes.
Okay, so yes, you know what? That's a better one. We're the Leonardo DiCaprio of Sports Talk Radio, not nominated for an Emmy, nominated Best Radio Show in Salt Lake, but haven't won it yet. So we'll forge on. Trevor Riley is stuck in traffic. Let me ask you a question as somebody who books these guests. And I don't really have a leg to stand on because every time I'm out of town and I'm set to join my own show.
This is fair.
Not the easiest guy to get on the phone, I admit it. When I was in Dana Point over the weekend, I had horrible cell reception, and it took about 7 or 8 minutes for us to connect.
It happens.
So I don't want to sound like a hypocrite. Who is our most unreliable guest consistently?
So that's tough because some guests are so consistent that like little hangups happen here and there, right? Like say a Dave McMiniman. There's been 100 times where I've called Dave McMiniman and he didn't answer, right, at the scheduled time. But he always makes up for it within like 5 or 6 minutes, or we get him the next day. It's more so like he probably got called by his bosses in Bristol. And then there is friends like Trevor Riley, who he could agree to a radio hit one day and then the next day be like at the Parasailing World Championships in Hawaii. Or our friend Amy Donaldson, who, bless her soul, could agree with me on a radio hit on a Friday, and then she goes like running for hundreds and hundreds of miles through the desert in the weekend and forgets about it.
Saving dogs or something.
Or a dog thing comes up and she, forgets about it. That happens occasionally. It's a good question. I think we had someone who I tried to get on the show a few times, and they agreed to it, and then we never got a hold of them, and I stopped trying. I got to remember.
Well, while we're in this space, I should let you know that there is a chance that Carl Malone is going to call us this week. I've reached out to Carl for him to join us on Monday. I reached out to Carl and John.
More than a 0% chance.
It's not a good chance. I reached out to both Carl and John actually got back to me, which I was surprised. John is on a river rafting trip with his family this week.
That sounds fun.
And actually said that at some point this summer he'd like to stop by and join us. So at least we heard back from John. I texted Carl, and then I called him, and he referenced that he would like to join the show. I gave him the time frame, and he said he would let me know. But like when Carl stopped by the remote, that was 3 years ago?
Yeah.
He just rolled into town, and I believe his rep let you know that he was going to stop by for a minute. And didn't he do like an hour with us live on site?
He sat down, took his shoes off, and just kind of ran the show for an hour or so.
He wanted a little Post Malone for his bum music, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So if our phone rings, there is a chance that Carl Malone will be on the other end to talk Frank.
And maybe Trevor Riley to give us a traffic update.
Trevor will make it here, okay? The thing about Trev is
during the show, though?
Probably. I'm going to say probably.
He was here yesterday.
That's the thing. Last week, no, it was last week because it was before I left for Dallas. Trevor texted me. He's like, hey, do you want me to stop by right now? And I'm like, well, yes, because you're Trevor Riley, but we have a show that's already been planned. And then yesterday, while I was doing an interview, I look outside, and he's standing there because he brought us T-shirts. And now, during his regular scheduled hit, he's nowhere to be found.
He's MIA.
You do know, my assertion on Trev has always been he's actually a real-life Batman.
Well, I was going to say, should we like call a search party out? He texted me about an accident on the freeway, and now I'm not getting any response.
Okay, well, let's see. I'm trying to think of what.
Hopefully, he's saving lives on the freeway.
He may be saving lives on the freeway. I started doing radio hits with Trevor right after he left the U, and he was in the NFL. I think he was with the Jets. He was with the Jets because he brought me a signed Trevor Riley Jets uniform. And so this is not my first rodeo with him. I know that this is kind of the deal. I will tell you this. Trevor has a new gig. I'm going to let him tell you about it. And, I mean, what an interesting couple years for our guy. He was on the staff with Deion at Jackson State, followed Deion in Colorado at Boulder, where he was the special teams coach. I believe he got in a little bit of a scuffle with one of the coaches.
Correct.
Deion had his back, which was interesting. He's like, Trevor's my guy. He can do whatever he wants. And then ended up moving to Hawaii for a minute. That's where Kamrani caught up with him. He went overseas to try to get some oil money for NIL initiatives for Colorado. Where was he again? Didn't he spend New Year's in like a random bathhouse of some sort?
Yes, somewhere in
the Middle East,
the UAE or Saudi Arabia, I think.
Yeah, he was in Saudi Arabia. He was trying to get oil money for NIL initiatives. This dude is the term one of one is overused, but when it comes to Trevor Riley, it is absolutely appropriate. And then last year he rolled in. Remember, it was the dead of winter. He was wearing shorts, no shirt, and a fur coat.
Yes.
And did radio with us for an hour in shorts, a fur coat, and no shirt. So if you're not watching on YouTube, I have no idea what Trevor's going to be wearing. Yesterday he looked very put together. He had a shaved head, but he looked rather clean. He didn't look unkept. Do you know where he's living? Is he still living in Hawaii?
I think he's here now. Got some stuff to take care of in the homeland. But yeah, like you said, you just really never know. One of one, very interesting fella. And you go back to his career at Utah, and it's you could have maybe assumed some of this, right?
Everyone has great Riley stories.
Crazy person on the field.
Yeah.
Just plays at like a different speed, a different urgency. And those are special football players and turn out to be very entertaining people.
Apparently he used to practice with his shoes off. He used to practice in bare feet.
Yeah. I think that's still a thing that he usually is doing, the no shoes thing.
I remember he described to me his tackling, the way he went about tackling people, his kind of like technique. He said, I just would try to hit them with my face as hard as I could.
Yeah.
Like, well,
that's how they teach you, I think.
You got a helmet. I know you don't want to go in with the top of your head, but it's like, yeah, I try to hit them with my face as hard as I can. He told me the wildest story while he was still in the NFL, that he was in California with his brother. I'm going to be light on details because I don't know what he wants me to share. He and his brother had a very interesting business idea / operation going on that included crossing the border, and then came back into California. And as he was driving home, somebody on, 405, I'm, not one of those hipster California dudes that knows all the routes. One of the freeways, California, Trevor cuts a dude off. Dude gets pissed. He does the whole, I'm going to drive around you, get in front of you, then slam on my brakes thing.
Good guy to do that with.
And he's pointing to Trevor to pull over. One of those guys. Side note, don't do that.
Don't do that.
I'm noticing this happened in California while I was there over the weekend. There was a news report that there was a road rage incident. Two dudes pulled over. One had a gun, shot him. Now one guy's dead. The other guy's in jail. But apparently they pulled over. The guy got out of his car, and then Trevor gets out of his car. Can you imagine? Well. Look at this.
Speak of the devil.
But can you imagine if you're pointing to a dude to pull over, and you pull over, he pulls over, and the guy that gets out of the car is Trevor Riley? Don't leave the road rage at home. We're all just trying to get home safe to our families.
Yeah, one time I was in traffic, and there was someone driving like a grandpa, right? Headed up to the avenues. And I'm like, this guy. And I kind of did this. I wasn't going to pull over and get him to fight me.
Yeah.
But I aggressively get over and pull around him. I look over, and it's Sean O'Connell.
Yeah, don't do that. Let's
you don't want to fight people in the street.
Yeah, let's get Trevor's mic on. Trevor Riley, only 17 minutes tardy. Hello, young man. How are you?
I apologize. Thank you, Salt Lake's finest. You know, we had a little car accident. Somebody hit me through an intersection. I ended up on my side. I'm all right, though.
Wait.
It was your car accident.
You got in a car accident?
Yeah, somebody smoked me, dude. It was a complete accident. It was on 1700 South and 5th West. You guys know that's a pretty dangerous intersection.
It is.
Anyways, everybody's good. I made it just a little late. I'm sorry.
Another installment of Trevor Riley.
You know, that happened to me on the road one time. I was on the 215 freeway
right
after my rookie season. I was with my uncle. We were driving this old beat-up minivan I had from college. I had given it to my sister. Old Oldsmobile. Fernando Orlandini. Okay, hooked me up. Old Brazilian guy. Anyways, the freeway is jam-packed. Construction on the 215.
It's 215.
Paris. Yeah,
okay.
It goes from Riverside all the way through. It's a bad freeway. Anyways, parking lot, right? So guys start using the shoulder to get off. They redirect the traffic.
Yeah.
Well, this guy in the concrete truck doesn't like that 4 or 5 guys already went. So I'm behind. I'm following the trail, as they say. He cuts me off.
Yeah.
Okay. We got a problem now. Right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
then hey, what's going on honking? I try to go around the other way. He cuts me off. So then I wave him in. He gets out of his truck. He's serious. So I tell my uncle, watch this. It's January.
Yeah.
We're the Jets. We just got eliminated.
Yeah.
2014. Or 2015. So anyways, I get out and he rushes me. He shoves my face. You ever seen someone's face get palmed?
Yeah.
He palms my face, dude.
Is he even close to your size?
Oh, he's 5'9", 220.
Dude.
Gunned up, he's been in the gym a little bit.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, feeling good about himself. I just got done during a 17-game season. Or 16 games. I'm feeling pretty good about myself.
As you should have, yeah.
So then we step in the ring, and then it's 1-2, 1-2, and that's it.
You knocked him out.
Well, it was just boxing, just, are you done?
Yeah.
A few, and then, I'm done.
He just felt a couple punches and realized what he was in for.
Hey, man, like he said, you just never know. Be careful on the road.
Don't do it. I mean, Trev, we have reports here often of, like, shootings, road rage. There was the saddest story last year out by the soccer stadium, 90th South. 2 guys, similar situation. Okay, I'm tailing you. You're going too slow. All right, I'm going to brake check you. Okay, I'm going around you. They both exit because one said, okay, let's do this. They pull into like a Maverick. One guy pulls a gun, kills the other dude. Both of them have like families. They're like dads. And one dude's in jail for the rest of his life. The other guy's dead. Like, if there's a PSA for the day today, leave the road rage at home, man. We're all just trying to get home to our families.
Amen.
How you doing, buddy?
It's been a wild, year. I got to tell you.
It's been a wild life, young man. We got about 5 minutes left in this segment. Then we'll catch a break so we can do a big one coming up. Let's start with your new gig, and we'll talk about it on the other side of a break in length. You got a new gig. Let's hear about it.
Well, Utah Islanders, okay? Basically, Salt Lake Community College and us have linked up with the local old semi-pro team, the Sentinels, and they made an operation where you don't have to go to school to play college football anymore. And with the new rules, D3, junior college, and semi-pro are all kind of convoluted. We play, and on our schedule, we play all 3 types of teams this year.
Okay.
So with that being said, we're the only school in Utah, or at least Utah County and Salt Lake County. Because Harriman, I consider both, by the way. It's
okay.
Right there on the line.
Fair enough.
We're right there.
I'm with you.
RSL practice.
I'm with you.
So we want to be the feeder school. Why can't we be Rick's College? 84 was pretty nice, right, for BYU? Sure,
yeah.
Well, they got it from Rick's College.
Yeah, they did.
They were feeding missionaries. They had 22-year-old guys as freshmen. So we all know that story. That's the goal here. I mean, we have snow down there. We got a few things, but we think we have the backing. We got the facilities, and this is my job now to run this team, I guess.
So what is your role?
General manager.
You're the GM.
And minority owner.
Oh, okay.
Think Moneyball. Okay, we're single A football now.
Okay.
That's what we're looking at this as.
Okay. So any other, because last time I spoke to you, you referenced you were talking to some, I don't know if they're former teammates of yours, but maybe ex-pros involved with this?
D-line coach, Senny, the Tongan Cowboy. Okay,
nice.
How about that? Good call. You like that one?
Oh, hell yes.
How about Steve Savoy at receivers?
Okay.
Savoy City, baby.
Like it.
Okay. How about myself, coaching linebackers?
You're coaching linebackers. I'm
going to help out,
As you should.
A few things.
Yeah, you do.
Okay, that's on the defense. We got John New on the offensive line.
Okay.
Old former Ute. Okay, he's in Maui right now with Ron McBride. Thank you, Ron McBride Foundation. And then, that's where we're at now. We got 2 more hires to do.
Okay.
I reached out to a few ex-Utes.
Okay.
And so we're trying to link this whole thing up with ex-Utes, ex-Cougars, even ex-Weber State guys. But we want to be the Utah Football Club. for
Okay.
this area. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I like it.
We're not that interested. We want to win every game. Don't get that twisted, but we're more interested in player development. We want to be a farm team.
So you want to be a farm team for Utah, BYU, all of our local in-state schools.
Ideally, we'd have a situation where if you wanted to come to us, you'd have to sign eventually a right of first refusal for Utah or BYU.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, if you come here, we are a feeder school for these two programs. They get first shot at you. And the legal jargon will have to be worked out, but that's the idea eventually.
So how do you go about the process of getting players? Are these potentially players that couldn't qualify or are young?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So we have a mixture of kickbacks from Weber State, from even Utah. We have a guy, Southern Utah. I had a guy with an ankle monitor on yesterday. He was moving around pretty well.
Okay.
So there's a mixture there, right? We got trade school kids, meaning I just talked to a guy today. He's like, I want to go to electrician. I said, perfect. We have a program. So it's kind of a mixture of guys that kind of fell through the cracks, maybe smaller schools. We went to the Ute Indian reservation. We found a guy there.
Okay.
I was at West Valley Rec looking for a few guys. I'm going to Tongan Ward Church Ball on Tuesday. But we had 50 kids, and we got some good players. We got Zemiah Vaughn's brother.
Okay.
Zemiah was out there yesterday. He's on break from Minnesota.
Nice.
I think he's going to make that team.
Tongan Ward Ball is like the perfect place to go find these kids.
Dude, big guys who can move.
Yeah.
I can coach you do anything if you got feet and you got size, dude.
What about any ideas for a head coach?
Yeah, so Ethan Wright. I
Ethan
went to
Wright.
school with Ethan. Ethan has been on the staff for a while. He's a trainer in the area.
Okay.
And with me being the general manager, I think that's enough personality. I think he's going to be perfect for that role. He's kind of the executor right now.
Okay.
So it's kind of he's CEO, right? I'm bringing the football jargon, and we're a startup, dude. This is the fourth time I've done this. We did this twice at Jackson State and twice at Colorado. Meaning when you cut 70 people, right? You're a startup the next year. So
yeah,
we're there. So we're hoping to compete every game, but we got Snow College in 38 days, or August 23rd.
You're going to play Snow College in like
right here,
38 days
in Harriman.
In Harriman.
Yeah, so we're hoping to have a concert after and kind of making an event. We're having a little fire and ice bowl. We're making it a yearly event where we can make a rivalry with something fun. There's no other games that day.
What is this, a Saturday?
It's a Saturday.
Okay.
It's the week before kickoff, and we'll be the only show in town. We're hoping to get a showing, dude.
Okay, I like it. We'll help you out. This sounds like reductive and simplistic, but helmets and shoulder pads and uniforms. How you going about all that?
So Chris Helin, who owns the team with his wife Jess, they do all of it themselves. We have an office. So
Okay.
They're in there with the machine making decals today.
Okay.
Helmets we've painted. We got the gear.
Okay.
Okay, we got T. Kinney. He's the academic advisor at Utah. He's helping us.
Okay.
We're on the right track.
I
baby.
like it, man.
Okay.
Have you talked to Kyle?
Of course.
Okay.
He said, "Show me." He's like Missouri, show me state.
Sure.
first.
Yeah.
And he's worth $10 million a year, so he can have that.
Yeah.
I'll give that respect to him.
I like it. All right, Trevor Riley's live in studio. I told you guys when I teased that Trev would be here that I had no idea what the direction would be. I would let him explain his new gig. So we're going to keep talking about it coming up on the other side. But before we catch a break, our new friends at Outlaw Distilling, it's a new partner on the ESPN Sports Network. Outlaw Distillery, a homegrown grain-to-glass nitty-gritty whiskey, vodka, rum, and moonshine distillery right here in Salt Lake County. Outlaw Distillery, Utah grown with so much history here of cowboys, outlaws, mining, and more. Outlaw has everything on the spirit spectrum, from their spiced rum, vanilla bean rum, Outlaw coffee rum, honey bourbon, barrel-proof whiskey, vodka, and moonshine. They have it all. And they're embracing the Outlaw name by being rebellious and making some very unique spirits that aren't being seen or created by any other distilleries in Utah. Passionate group, happy to have them on board. If you want to try their spirits, you can either find their bottles in local liquor stores or you can book a tasting. Tell them I sent you. You can take a tour. It's about an hour and a half. You get to keep your shot glass as a souvenir. Get your tour and your tasting booked at outlawdistillery.com today. The doors opened in 2015. It's only the fourth distillery in the great state of Utah, deeply rooted in Utah history and tradition. Even the name Outlaw is inspired by legendary characters such as Butch Cassidy and the Outlaw Trail, which served as primary transportation route for many of the notorious Wild West outlaws. The vision for Outlaw Distillery is clear. Help show the world that some of the best spirits can come from one of the best places, least expected places, meaning here in Utah. More with Trevor Riley, who's got a new gig, semi-pro football team. He wants it to be a feeder for our local colleges. We'll learn more about it and talk some college football with Trev coming up live in studio. Don't forget Jason Christ, Zach Harper. We'll say goodnight at 6 o'clock on a busy Wednesday drive, and it's good to have you along for the ride right here on ESPN 700. Former Ute and NFL player for 7-8 years. You guys know him. Trevor Riley is live in studio. For our YouTube viewers, you can check Trevor out today in a lovely hoodie instead of the fur coat that you wore last time you were in studio.
Well, it's still okay. When I was living in Hawaii.
Yeah.
I got sick of having so much stuff, so I went with my wife. We went her line. I said, just get a little bag of your stuff, okay? I'll wear it tight. You wear yours a little baggy. And so we started doing this, not cross-dressing, but consolidating, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Unisex dressing, we called it.
Unisex dressing. So you just basically, you were like minimalists.
We were sharing clothes, okay? And it was nice. In Hawaii, you don't wear a lot of clothes. It's hot.
Yeah, you don't need to.
So we had minimal stuff.
All right, so we'll get back to your new gig because that's why you're in studio. To the extent that you're comfortable, though, tell our Ute fan listeners, our Trevor Riley fan listeners, what the last couple of years have been like for you.
Well, let's go backwards to 2020, COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a nightmare, right? And we got finished with that season with Utah. It was kind of an abbreviated season. So 2021, and sorry for you all who know this already, just I'll be quick. Dion gets hired in 2020, the fall. I reach out and I say, hey, I'll come work for free.
Mm-hmm.
And so they came back to me and said, yep, you can come. I went and saw Kyle. I said, I'd like to take a sabbatical for the spring and go help Jackson. He said, go ahead. And so I went down there, and then I was like, yeah, I'm going to stay. And that was 2021.
Okay.
So then we did our thing there, and then we went to Colorado. And that's everybody kind of knows that story about Dion and that whole crew. I was along for that ride. Special teams coordinator at Colorado, defensive ends, and special teams assistant at Jackson State. But anyways, at Colorado, right, we ran out of money, meaning we were recruiting players, and we just didn't have the money to pay for them.
Right.
We lose to Utah after the first year, 2023. So that November, I stay here. I don't go home on the team plane, and I start hustling, trying to get NIL stuff going.
Mm-hmm.
So then all my contacts here, and my cousin Sean Kimball hooked me up with this professor, Ryan Coles, in University of Connecticut. I went to some event at Lehigh in the Silicon Slopes, and they were doing something with crypto and farming, like saving water.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him what I wanted to do. He said, well, we're going to Jordan. I was like, well, I'm trying to get to Saudi Arabia. He's like, well, just come with us on Monday. This was on Friday. I was like, all right. So then I got on a plane to Atlanta, and then went there and did that whole thing. And then I put together some stuff. We're like, yeah, let's do this. And okay, they didn't want to do deals with Saudi Arabia. That's understandable.
Mm-hmm.
When I say they, I mean the Colorado, not Dion and his group.
Sure, yeah.
It's separation of church and state. Even for the coaches, they don't control everything at that level. You can ask Kyle about that, by the way. Anyways, so when we got down to it, they didn't want to do that. That was fine. So then I got the Mormons involved and some other people with some sweepstakes stuff. And then we actually agreed to some stuff on that, and then it just kind of fell through, And then at that point, I had to walk because my reputation's worth more than the gig that they were doing. And
sure.
When I brought the Mormons in and my people, we just, how that goes. So it wasn't no harm, it kind of ended abruptly, right? And there was a fight involved, and that wasn't really my fault, but the whole thing was just a lot of pressure. We just won 4 games, and we were in training camp. So I left. Some people would say it wasn't fair that I left, so I had to go, though. And
You left Colorado.
I left Colorado because I told them before, if this doesn't get done, I'm going to leave.
Mm-hmm. So
it wasn't like it was abrupt. The people who were in the know, they understood. I don't think they really believed me, but it was very well communicated. So when the whole thing went down, it was just a money thing. It wasn't about them paying me. That they weren't ready for that type of. It just was all. It was like, here, let's go.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't like, well, you can imagine the red tape. Who's in charge? That's the question we still talk about.
Sure.
Who's in charge?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So and then I decided I don't want to do football anymore. I'm done. And I said, and I was getting divorced, and my wife and I. It took 4 years to get divorced, and then I was getting remarried. So I was like, I'm not doing this job. I'm not getting back with my. If I'm going to be poor, I'm going to go live in Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm ever homeless, it's nice in Hawaii.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I can handle that.
Yeah.
I didn't expect it to get that bad, but just in case.
Right.
And so we went over there, and I got married and just slowed life down a little bit, and that was last August. And so I came back here. I actually had a knee injury on my honeymoon in Kauai. I was running. I was doing some trailing, and my knee blew up. So I came here to get it looked at, and then I went to see my kids in Mississippi, and then this guy, Chris, and his wife, they reached out to me and said they needed some help, and I asked my ex-wife and my wife, and I was like, all the money goes to you two, so what do you want me to do? So I had him come down, and he sat everybody down, and I said, if you can cut a good deal with these women and these family, then I can go. So
okay.
put together a good deal, and I'm here.
Dion had your back.
Yeah, dude, Dion's my guy.
Yeah, I mean, I can't.
love him.
I'm not going to say I was surprised at all, but when everything came down, when Dion was asked about it, he was like, "Yeah, that's my guy. He can, Trev can kind of do what Trev does." So that relationship must be special to you.
Well, it's hard right now because I disparage this employer. So me and him.
Okay.
I think when he's done there, we'll have more of a relationship. I still talk with his sister. Dion's got a lot going on, man.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a lot of pressure on him now with not that everyone has a lot of pressure, but there's a huge spotlight with Travis and Shador being gone.
Sure, yeah.
Everybody's waiting to see.
Yeah.
So I would say with Dion, I feel for him. Like he takes a lot on, and I was very happy to be a part of it. I was happy he let me be a part of the ride, man. Very happy.
No, for sure. That must have been a cool experience. And you also have connections down at BYU. You, at one point, thought you were going to play down there.
I wanted to.
As the story goes, was it Bronco who just said that there's not a spot for you, and you're like, I'm going to go to Utah then?
To their credit, they brought me into their elite camp. I had just done all poly, and this was the first year of all poly, I think, 405.
Oh, 405, okay.
And then I had done the Utah camp, full contact. So I had done 2 straight weeks of full contact camp, and so the third week was BYU. I called my dad. I was like, Dad, I really don't want to go to this camp. And I had a back end. I wasn't in great shape, and so they took a look at me and. Yeah, he's just a slow white guy. We got about 1,000 of those around the corner.
Yeah, there's a lot of those down there, yeah.
So it wasn't a big deal.
Sure.
I went on a mission, and I got huge. And I came back, and then a lot of schools, and I was going to go to Texas Tech before I signed with
That's right, yeah.
He's Mormon. He's a Mormon from Cody. He
played
rugby with my uncle at BYU.
Oh, okay.
Kurt Salisbury, and so that's how I got linked into him.
Okay.
And so then when I came off my mission, Leach was in trouble because they had just won 11 games, and they didn't give him an extension.
That's right.
So if you read between the lines, my dad and I were like, "Yo, he's probably going to be gone soon," and he was gone the next year off for something else. But they found a way to get him out. Adam Jones' son, or what was his name? Craig James' son.
Craig James. Craig James kid. That's right. That's right.
And so, long story short, Morgan Scally got me here to Utah.
Okay.
He called. Somebody called him from the Ute Network. Steve McDonough, Uncle Dennis, who's a friend of my grandfather. And so we had a meeting in St. George. Morgan came down, and we met at an Applebee's, and he said, "Why don't you come here?"
Applebee's?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Okay.
All right.
Let's do it.
Okay.
And I showed up in a suit and tie with Kyle and said, "All right, what are we doing, dude?"
And that's how you landed at Utah?
That's how I got to Utah.
That's wild. Did your brother play at BYU?
My brother Drew did. So
Drew, that's right.
When I came off my mission, though, I went to see him again. And I said, "Hey, guys, I'd like to go here." I said, "We're not interested." It was Coach Robert and I, great guy, by the way. I said, "Don't worry, I'll see you on the field. I'm going to go to Utah then."
Yeah, that's right.
He shook his hand, and I was there the other day. I love BYU.
Yeah.
I pay my tithing. Well, at least I do now. I didn't for a lot of years.
Okay. Well, that a
so,
boy. You're back on the straight and narrow.
Well, I still root for Kalani, but I'm a Ute. Okay.
Sure.
I'm a Ute down south, but I'm not going to not root for BYU. Jay Hill and Kalani, they raised me.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm going to root for them.
Well, the reason I ask you is, and we'll get back to your new gig for the final, 10 minutes of our hit here. It's an interesting time, and I had forgotten I said this, but my old producer actually sent out a tweet and reminded me that 5 years ago, when the NIL rumors were surfacing and when it became a reality, I said on air, if you are a BYU fan, this is great news for you. If they find a way to traverse this space, and by the way, every time I talk about this, I have to be clear. I know that tithing money is not being used for NIL. I know that the church is not bankrolling the football and the basketball team. These are rich, powerful boosters and donors that love BYU athletics, and they're paying A.J. DeBonsa $7 million for 5 months of basketball. They paid $3.5 million for Rob Wright. Richie Saunders is a 7-figure kid. The rough estimates for the basketball team is about $15 million for the basketball team. I don't know what Kalani is getting. They're one of the few P4 schools where I believe the basketball coach is higher paid than the football coach. I know Kalani got a little bump and a little extension. Obviously, there are more football players than basketball players. They signed Ryder Lyons, who's a top 5 commit for next season. Their 2026 recruiting class is top 20. Give me your thoughts and your knowledge on just how they've been able to do this down there, and then juxtaposed to where Utah is at with the same endeavors. Can Utah keep up with the BYUs and the Texas Techs with the NIL endeavors?
No. Okay, we got to get smarter. We just don't have pockets like that, man. We're a commuter school. We have been for years. We didn't get good at sports until the 90s, really, when you think about it. And that was in hoops.
Yep.
And so we're behind. Okay, I would say Tech has oil money. I went there. I almost went there.
Yep.
I know about that.
Yep.
BYU has
Silicon Slopes, yeah.
The Mormons have 10 trillion.
Yep.
So, scale that to the individual members, however you want to do that. And so, yeah, we're in a tough place. My belief, and I think Morgan would agree with me. I'm not speaking for him, but I think he would agree with me. We have to develop again. Okay, that is something that we have always been good at. No one's better than Kyle Whittingham at switching people positions.
You know that.
He did it to me.
Yep.
Paul Kruger, Derek Shell. I mean, I can go through a list.
Nate Orchard.
I mean, there's
You
just
keep
so many.
going, yeah.
Kyle is going to get every ounce of effort out of you. And so Scally's from that tree. I hope and pray that the university gets on board with a 5-year plan. We're not firing a coach for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, first of all, it's financially stupid. We don't have the money for it, so we're not going to do that. We've been hiding Morgan out for how many years now? Hiding him out, dude.
Yeah.
We raised him. His dad played for us.
Mm-hmm.
We're Rally for Scally, baby.
Mm-hmm.
We've never had an ex-Ute as a player, as a coach, I mean.
Yep.
So we as players have got to get behind this guy. We got to get Coach Witt right now, but I'm talking about a 5-year plan.
I understand,
Coach
yeah.
isn't going to be here for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Are we going to develop? Or are we going to buy players? You don't want to be in the middle, just like the NBA. You don't want to be in the middle, dude.
Right.
It's the worst place to be. You're a fence sitter. You're not even. So we want to go full development, or we want to go full free agency.
Does it feel like, I know the answer to the question, I'm going to ask anyway for the benefit of our listeners. You referenced the alumni support for Morgan. EWED stops by all the time. It feels like everybody, I don't know when Kyle's going to walk away. We were at Big 12 Media Days. I'm not going to ask him the question. There are a lot of people that believe, based off of how rough last year was, he wanted to come back for one more year and one more ride to make sure he's handing it over to Morgan in a better space. What's the alumni feel for Morgan Scally as the choice next to be the head coach?
I think we should go back to 2015. Kalani takes the job at Oregon State, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now they got a void there. Kyle brings in John Pease to bridge the gap to Morgan. And I think it was a good move.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe Morgan doesn't. I think it was. In retrospect, it took some pressure off Morgan, right? I'm sure he did most of the work, at least during the week.
Yep.
So I could see that happening here. I wouldn't be surprised if Morgan is more involved in the day-to-day operations. I'm sure Kyle's teaching him and showing him the ropes more. I don't know if he was doing that last year. So maybe, to your point, in addition to leaving the program in a better place, but there's also that bridge. This is a weird thing, dude. These things usually don't work out, by the way.
I know.
They just don't.
It's tough.
It can work out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it won't. I think that if anybody could figure this out, it is the University of Utah.
Mm-hmm.
And to the last point, I don't think Kyle wants to go anywhere else and coach after this, so that should make it easier.
Yeah, for sure. And to your point, I mean, it was Gary Croton who took over after Lavelle stepped aside. Gary did have one good year. People forget that, but then everything fell apart. Ty Corbin took over for Jerry Sloan. I could keep going as far as coaches that followed the legend, but you have confidence Morgan can do it.
Is he not the smartest guy you know in football?
You know that I'm a Morgan guy. I'm just wondering from an alumni standpoint, a former player.
I was with Zemiah Vaughn yesterday. Me and him had both the same thing. If Morgan Scally asks it, we'll do it. I believe in this guy, right? I think he's ready for this. But more importantly, or not more importantly, on a side note, I think Kyle is amped up for this year.
Yeah.
I sense a different energy with the team. I think there's a chip on the shoulder, right? The one thing we have to always combat is money.
Mm-hmm.
When you give kids money, right, you got to keep them motivated. And last year we watched, right, we had good players, but we lost a quarterback. And I don't know, I just think the kids got a little deflated, and it's hard when they're making more money than you as a position coach. How do you motivate them?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the old saying, how do you stay hungry when you're well fed, right? What gives you the most, because it's interesting you reference the energy. During spring ball, it's an exercise in futility as a media member to try to understand what's going on, more often than not. But Kyle this year, on a number of occasions, referenced the better energy in the football facility, the more positive energy. And Kyle doesn't usually point that out, nor does he belabor the point where he's going to say it 6 or 7 times. Why do you think the energy is better with Utah football this year?
8 wins is acceptable, and you can still keep some swag with 8 wins, right? You can hold your head high just a little bit. 5 wins, and I've done it twice, is a nightmare. Literally, I dream about it. Not that I'm not obsessed about football, but it shows up in there every once in a while. I'm like, what the freak, dude?
Yeah.
That was 15 years ago.
Right.
You get the point, though. It's haunting to not win 6 games.
Yeah.
You want to be over 500.
Mm-hmm.
So you go to a bowl game, you're going to win it or lose it. You're going to be over or under 500. So I think that matters. And then the last thing I would say is that they're still figuring out how they're going to handle the salary cap deal.
Yeah.
And how are we going to handle guys who are injured? There's so many question marks that we're just a little behind. We don't have money. We're broke.
Are we broke?
We're broke in relation
To the BYUs and the
All
Texas
we gotta
Techs?
do is go down south, right? Forget about everybody else. We're going to lose in-state battles.
Yeah.
That's now and here. It's already they're taking guys off our team. We're not taking guys off their team. That's not a coaching problem. That's a finance problem.
Yeah. Did you follow the Keanu Tanavasa story at all?
Of course I did. I was on the staff when we signed him.
Right.
It was a terrible thing for Utah, and I would say it's just business.
Yeah.
So I'm not happy with the kid, but at the end of the day, it's just, it's business. Some people wouldn't do that, but it's a hard deal. It's dollars. Spence, I just talked to one of my coaches. I'm trying to recruit a coach. He's like, I got this high school gig. I'm like, dude, junior college. You're going to graduate. It's okay if you just took it. You can tell him, hey, I got a promotion. It happens in our industry all the time. So I think there's some crossover there. We're just a little behind.
And Sean and I interviewed Keanu at Big 12 Media Days because BYU was there Tuesday, Utah was there Wednesday. And BYU was good enough to give us about 20 minutes with Keanu. And you know what? I saw a very sincere kid who clearly struggled with this. Now, he claimed that the money was equal. I don't believe that, in my opinion. But he talked a lot about, he anecdotally told a story that he attended a wedding of one of his former Utah teammates, and he felt weird, like his former teammates weren't talking to him, And Utah's loss is BYU's gain. That kid's good. He's an NFL guy.
I had a missed call today from Francis Bernard.
Okay.
Same story.
Yeah.
Different situation, but similar story, right?
For sure.
There were actually some issues at Utah early on in the locker room with that.
Interesting.
Now, it wasn't an individual person. It was kind of like a group of guys where F this guy.
Yeah, just like filling him out type thing, yeah.
And so we had to kind of step in immediately, like, dude, he's with us now. Enough of that.
Yeah.
So when that happens, right, when he goes away, now it's the same conversation. He's not with us.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a weird thing, right?
Yeah.
I think that those relationships will get better when football's done.
For sure. For sure.
He's in the moment, but he's from Orange County. So I halfway believe everything he says.
Fair enough.
I'm not far from down there.
I know you are. I officiated a wedding in Dana Point over the weekend, dude. How wild is that?
That place is awesome.
Love Dana Point. I could live there. I'm not a huge LA guy, but take me down south. I'll put down some roots.
South Orange County is like Provo West.
Play a little golf, man.
Phoenix is Provo South, and South Orange County is Provo West.
I like it. Do you swing a golf club ever?
I used to, but then I started coaching at Jackson State, and I just didn't have time.
Yeah.
I might pick it up again.
Let's get out. Let's go down to Dana Point and play. All right, Trevor Riley's with us, former Ute, NFL player for 7 years?
No, it was 4 in the pros and then 1 with the Stallions.
4 in the pros, 1 with the Stallions. All right, let's get back to the new gig because we want people to know about this, and I want you to tell us how we can help you. So let's reset it. You got something new. Let's hear about it.
Well, let me ask you a question first.
Go
What
ahead.
do you think about what I pitched earlier? Let's say you're at Utah or BYU. I step into your office and say, hey, I will run your farm system for you.
The concept is brilliant because ultimately, and look, I am one, Trevor, that when NIL and transfer portal became real, I talked immediately, you got to lean into the pro model. And the sooner you do it, the sooner you will alleviate these issues. Let them unionize. And I'm talking about football specifically. There are complications when you bring in the other sports, even basketball. I'm talking about only football here, okay? As soon as this stuff went down, because I was raised in the pros. I'm a guy that knows the ecosystem of professional sports juxtaposed to college. That's not necessarily my thing. I cover it. We're the home of the Utes, all that stuff. But I started to realize if you let the players unionize and collectively bargain, then you get to sign them to contracts where they have to stay on campus for 2 years, player option for a third. They can't transfer if they're signing contracts. And then you figure out a salary cap. You essentially lean into the pro model. So a farm system, a feeder system is the logical next step. And it feels like you're kind of ahead of the curve that way.
We're just closer. Like, snow is awesome, right?
Sure.
Everybody loves Ephraim for just about an hour.
Sure.
Okay?
Yeah.
That's the thing is we're right around the corner. So
right.
all these kids can stay here. It's just, and this is being a pro. And the difference, guys, between the pros and college, it's pure efficiency at the pro level.
Mm-hmm.
There's no empathy.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what I'm talking about.
You
Spence?
remove emotion from decision making.
Dude, it's pure, I call it Chinese. It's pure efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
It's communism to a point. It's black and white in pros. And so to your point, are we going to get there? I don't know, but we're still dealing with kids. It's a very, very temperamental situation. You got 18-year-old boys you're taking care of,
mm-hmm.
sometimes 17.
Mm-hmm.
That's where there has to be a little empathy there. We're going to lose some money here. We don't care. We're going to raise these kids up. We're going to get our players ready to join us in a year or two. And the reason why I know it works, it just happened at BYU. They just did it at Weber State. They took Jay Hill and how many players?
A lot.
And they started and they won 11 games.
Yep.
And they did it in 84. Okay, and Utah used to do it. Okay, we used to stash them at Snow. I'm sure they've done it for years. Lewis Powell's the king of that.
Mm-hmm.
Pulling D Lyman out of there every year. It's just closer. It's right here. You can come check on them. We practice after you guys. We
mm-hmm.
practice at 7.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to work.
But let's. I know we already talked about it, but it was about 40 minutes ago. So let's reset it for our listeners that missed it. Tell us exactly what you're doing.
Simply put, we have no barriers to entry for getting into our team. Meaning, if you want to go to school, we have that as an opportunity for you. We'll pay for it. Salt Lake Community College. If you want to go to trade school, we'll pay for it. If you want to do your own job and then show up and come to practice, you can do that. And again, it goes back to the rules. Division III, junior college, and semi-pro. In prep schools, we just play each other.
Mm-hmm.
There's no more rules.
Yeah.
You can just, you got a squad? Okay, let's play.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure maybe there's some, but I don't think so, dude. I mean, the NCAA hasn't won a court case in how many, 10 years?
They literally cannot enforce anything. They have been told you're no longer allowed to enforce any rules.
So they're done.
Yeah.
What they will be is, I hope they help out with academic fraud and maybe stuff. But other than that, to your point, the schools are kind of taking it. So I think that if we can get everybody that is at the right level to understand it, it's just a way for everyone to get more players into their school.
Yeah.
We're going to try to keep kids local.
Mm-hmm.
If you come to us, you got to sign a right of first refusal. That's the goal next season.
But you don't necessarily only have local kids.
No.
You'll welcome any. So for our listeners, Trevor and
I need players now. I need bigs.
I've got a couple of ideas for you, by the way. For our listeners, Trevor and his group, they are in the process of starting up a kind of a semi-pro farm system football team here in our market when it comes to playing. It sounds like you're going to play out in Harriman. Is that correct?
We have one home game this year.
Uh-huh.
Right? It's the first game, August 23rd against Snow.
Okay.
And it's only a 6-game season. This is our first real go at it, right?
Yeah.
They've been around, but this is their first real go at in this model.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say August 23rd is the only show in town. Literally, the season hasn't started. And to your point, we're here for the kids that are local.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is the real thing here. If you're a local kid or you're a parent of a local kid and he's not on a team, we're an option. Okay, we're here to develop those guys. We want the guys who just either they don't want to go to school or they just whatever had a reason where they didn't make it, but they still got talent.
Yeah.
There has to be a place for them. We're at the bottom now. Single A ball, there's no single A or independent ball. There's still a place for those guys.
So how can people get a hold of you? How can people
Utah Islanders is on Instagram, Facebook, our website, UtahIslanders.com.
Okay.
I would say that as we get, we have a growing social media presence, but we're going to send some players to Utah and BYU, I think maybe 1 or 2 next season even, if not the season after. That's our goal, is to send players here to these 2 schools and to become a feeder system. And not just those 2 schools, but there's going to be levels to this, right? Utah State's up the road, Weber State. So we want to start with those 2 because obviously they're the big dogs.
Yeah.
That's how it goes.
So Utah Islanders, check it out on social, on TikTok and Instagram, or go to UtahIslanders.com. So if you're a parent right now, and let's say you have a son that you feel like has some talent, maybe has some size, maybe didn't make grades, maybe he didn't catch the eye of Kyle at Utah or Kalani at BYU, this is an opportunity for him to get experience because you're going to help out as a general manager and coaching some of the linebackers, and you have some big names already signed up to coach. So these young men that maybe didn't get the opportunity to play at Utah or BYU can get coaching and experience from guys that played high-level college and pro football.
Simply put, economically speaking, if you go get a personal trainer in football, it could run you $50 to $150 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
If you come to practice 3 hours a day, right? It's going to be a lot cheaper than that.
Yeah.
And you're getting personal training from some pretty good dudes.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the pitch. You nailed it. There's some good coaches. We're here to develop talent.
Yeah.
And the last piece of this, if you don't take 12 units, your eligibility doesn't start. That's a key factor right there.
Okay, good to know.
Take 3 classes, right? 9 units, we can freeze your eligibility. So there's a lot to take in there. The point of it is we want to be a show for Utah August 23rd, Fire and Ice Bowl versus Snow College. All you Snow guys, come out, we'll whoop you.
Yeah.
Well, I'm talking trash, but
I like it.
so we want to start that thing where we have at least a game before the season starts. We have one. It's a celebration of Utah football.
I love that. And so once they get a hold of you, you will be able to kind of walk them through how this works.
Just send us a direct message on all the socials, right?
Yeah.
Just send us a message. And again, we have about 50. We got some players. I'm always open for more.
Yeah.
So I'm going to Ward Ball Tuesday night in West Valley, dude.
It's the spot.
I need some bigs, bro, who can move.
I love it.
Have them.
Is there an age range you're looking for?
18 to 25.
18, 25.
We'll take a 26-year-old if he's really good.
There we go.
Okay.
There we go. If you're 26 as well. I mean, BYU's got a couple 26-year-olds.
What about 29, Trev?
No, 20. Can you ball?
Porter has eligibility
I'll
left.
take you if you can ball, dude.
He was a wide receiver. He's good.
Well, Porter might need to get you in the gym for just a little bit, but okay. You know, we'll give ESPN 700 a little, some shine. We'll take you.
Throw a couple fade routes, some corner routes into the end zone. Have Porter go up and get it.
Hey, the guy just got drafted from Utah doing that.
Yeah, you're right. All right, man. Great to see you. Let us know what we can do, okay?
I would just say this. Everybody keep listening to Spence. He's the best.
Oh, you're the man. Good to see you, Trev. All right, if you guys are in Orem this week, make sure you stop by Orem Toyota for a chance to win $5,000 in cash. Next giveaways are July 17th and July the 24th. Just take a selfie with a red tag vehicle, tag yourself in the dealership, then register on ESPN700sports.com. You can win $5,000 in cash at Orem Toyota. The great Trevor Riley, an hour or so with Trev. We'll switch gears. RSL's in action tonight. Jason Kreis is our guest. We'll go to Vegas to do some Summer League with Zach Harper. Then we'll say goodnight at 6 o'clock on a Wednesday drive on ESPN 700. Game day for RSL. Real Salt Lake, Providence Park taking on the Portland Timbers, riding a 4-match unbeaten streak. Our next guest only seems to stop by when the club is winning, which is interesting. On a Wednesday afternoon, club director Jason Kreis joins the program. Hello, Jason. How are you, sir?
I'm great, Spence. Thanks so much for having me and for inviting me back. I can only be on the show when I'm invited. I will remind you of that.
Okay, fair enough. I can sense the enthusiasm. It is dripping from the intro there, buddy. All jokes aside, it's been a lot better as of late. What have you seen that's allowed the club to take 10 of the last 12 points?
I think it's just the group is coming together. I think the group is having a little bit more understanding of what it's going to take to get points. I think the work that has been done for a long time now is starting to end up with some results. I think we've had a little bit of fortune, particularly in this last game. To be fair, over the course of the season, we feel like in the first 14 or 15 games, we probably weren't getting a lot of fortune that we felt we deserved. So I think it all typically will even out through a season. So we're happy with where we're at the moment, but we need to continue pushing forward, and we need to hopefully continue this momentum.
Well, a wise man once told me that fortune favors the bold, no?
That is an interesting saying. I like it better in Latin with audentis fortuna juvat, but yes, I agree with that sentiment.
Show off. Are you being bolder, hence the fortune?
I think so. I mean, I think this last game with the coaching staff deciding to go with just straight up 2 forwards and sort of 2 attacking midfield players and then trying to send both the fullbacks high, I do think that was a bold decision. It wasn't perfect for sure, but I do think it's an interesting option for us as we move forward through the rest of the season.
From my uneducated soccer pea-brain eye, Diogo looks like he's settling in a little bit, and it is manifesting via numbers, goals, and assists. Are you seeing improved play from your trained soccer eye from Diogo?
Yes, we're all very happy with the progress that Diogo has shown over the last month to 6 weeks. We think he's settling in as well. I think it's interesting to watch players in their adaptation period. Some are shorter, and some are much longer. But at the moment and for the past 5 or 6 games, I think he's been a great contributor for us, and we need him to be. So we're all very pleased with that.
Willie Agata, 11 games played, 9 starts. Johnny Russell, 6 games played, 3 starts. They both have 2 goals. Willie has an assist. Your 2 main acquisitions during the primary transfer window. Now that we have a sample size, Jay, what can you share about both what we see in matches and what you see behind the scenes?
Again, we have to be pleased with the contributions that they've made. Statistically, it's decent. The striker, we probably would prefer a few more goals from him. But as of late, he's looking more and more dangerous, so he's settling in. With Johnny, he scored 2 goals, I think, in his first 2 appearances with us or something crazy like that. So per minutes, he's doing very well. And another player that just needs an adaptation period because physically he came in very, very late without a preseason, without proper fitness behind it. So he's had his struggles with some minor injuries.
Tell me about the Caliscan kid. Not very familiar with him. And from my vantage point, he's been pretty bright with given the opportunities over the past couple of weeks. Just educate me about this player a little bit.
I think this was another what I would call prototypical RSL find where the club has historically done a very nice job of finding players that have been left out from one place or another for a certain reason. And we know that player pretty well. Kurt happened to know him very well because Kurt's brother coached him in college. So Noel didn't pan out. He was drafted by Portland, didn't pan out there, and was allowed to come to us for free. So we have placed a tremendous amount of value on his soccer intelligence. He's played extremely well for the Monarchs for over a year and a half, and very much deserved his opportunity with RSL at the right fullback position, which isn't even his natural position. And he's just done really, really well. So couldn't be happier for him.
Does it feel like he's kind of solidified that spot again with Katranis on one side, who naturally does push forward and provide service, and then what I perceive to be kind of a new revelation? Does it feel like those two maybe have solidified those outside back spots?
I think it's possible for sure. I mean, Noel, I probably view him a little bit more of a stay-at-home fullback than an attacking fullback. But in this last match, he was asked to do it, and he had some pretty good moments in the attacking third. So and he's of course scored a wonder goal already. So I do think that there's the possibility that he ends up maintaining that position over the long run. But I do also think that there's some development on his side that should happen. So
Diego returns from his Gold Cup experience. Before we get to what he's looked like since he's been back, it feels like his star it was already on the rise, and he was already certainly the best player on this club and one of the best players in MLS. He's been named to the Skills Challenge, and he'll participate in All-Star and all that fun stuff. But what sort of experience do you think he garnered with what can only be described as a remarkably successful run, even though they didn't lift the trophy during his Gold Cup experience with the U.S. men's national team?
Yeah, it was really, really crazy to see how quickly his star rose there, and having lots of pundits calling him the best player in the U.S. setup and somebody that was quite inspirational. It's incredible to see him garner the success that he so richly deserves. So really, really happy for him. What we have seen is Diego has come back a more mature person, and you just can't help but gain that type of experience through all the travel that he had there and all the challenges of the games, and so many of them in such a long time to be away. So we're really pleased about the progress of Diego, and we're really hopeful that we can keep him here for a very long time.
What sort of, and I know this is sensitive, but I'll ask, what sort of interest has he garnered as a result of that run? I mean, I know there are already clubs interested in his services, but I have to imagine with that type of exposure and that type of simply eyes on his performance and watching him score goals and provide service, that maybe your phone's ringing a little bit more than it was prior to. Is that fair to say?
Well, truth be known, Spence, the phone that rings for those communications is going to be with Kurt. And truthfully, like I said, I think we are very, very much aligned in our desire to keep him here. So I'm not sure if Kurt's even picking up those kind of phone calls.
How much do those conversations have to do with Diego and his representation? I mean, I know, and look, my desire, obviously, from my seat, which means nothing, is to see every player you guys develop that turns out to be awesome to stay here. I mean, I've always been that way. That's how I was raised in this ecosystem of professional sports. But I understand there's a different mentality when it comes to the world of football worldwide, and obviously what the club is looking to do to maybe make some cash when you do cash in on a developmental project. But when it comes to these conversations, how much of it has to do with what Diego wants and what his representation wants?
Well, there's certainly a certain amount. It's a percentage, right? And I wouldn't say that we should lock a number on it. We're always going to be wanting to be a club that values the players and values what they want. But ultimately, all parties need to understand this is also a business, and we all have contracts. And the commitments that we make to the players are the same in return that they need to make to us. And so what I would say again is, I think Diego has already shown himself to understand that kind of commitment and appreciate the commitment that the club has continued to make for him and with him. Because truthfully, we have been a major, major component of his development to get him to where he is right now. So I think all parties are aligned still. And the hope is that we will be going forward.
Don Marczuk, a couple of matches since we've seen him. Is this a health issue? Is this a form issue? I mean, he's just one of those players where there are moments in time in truncated space where he provides a service or he makes a move or has an idea where you feel like it's special. And then there are certain games where he seems to float a little bit and you're just left wanting more because you know what he has in him. What's the latest on Don Marczuk?
Yeah, it's a strange situation because we feel like before he left for his international trip where he went and played with the Poland U21s in the European Championships, he was headed in a really positive direction. And then he went there, was away from us for a couple of weeks, and he's come back. And I think he's just a little bit off of his game. I don't think he's at the best moment. You know, we saw him a couple of games ago. He subbed in and played a major role and just didn't quite look himself. So this is true for all soccer players and all professional athletes, where we have our highs and our lows. And at the moment, he's in a little bit of a downturn, but we believe in his potential and we know what we've seen before. So we're working with him to get him back to where we need him and where he needs to be.
Any chance we see him tonight?
I think there's a chance and an opportunity for a lot of things. Yeah.
Okay. Well, okay. I guess that encapsulates every possibility for tonight's match. Does that include Emeka? Does that include Emeka and Nelly? Could we see Emeka tonight?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Emeka's here and on the bench and is available for a certain amount of minutes as he returns to his protocol to get back to 100%.
How do you guys feel like you've kind of held the fort down with Emeka on the sideline nursing that injury?
I think it's been really good. I think what's been really interesting for me to see, because I don't have a whole lot of history with this player, is to see Pablo Ruiz, the development of Pablo Ruiz over the past several games. He's looking very strong, and we've all been very impressed with his play. So, this is part and parcel of professional sports as well. Sometimes if you get injured and are out for a little while, or you're out for other reasons, and another player steps in and does really well, then you've got to wait your turn. So. It won't surprise me to see us be very cautious with Emeka, because we feel like we need to, and we certainly feel like we can at the moment.
What's the mentality or the ideas behind juggling and balancing lineups when you have 3 games in a week, a Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday tilt, and certainly it is hot here. I know it's a little bit cooler up in Portland, but you definitely have to stagger minutes and make sure that these kids are taken care of. How do you guys go about that?
Yeah, Portland, actually, we're having a record heat wave here. It's supposed to be upper 90s this afternoon here for the game time, which is crazy. And a couple days later, it's mid-70s. So it is an absolute grind and an absolute challenge. And Pablo, I think, has shown just in the year and a half that I've been here that he really favors a pretty heavy rotation of the players in an effort to keep everybody fresh, but also to keep everybody involved. And what we've seen over the past year and a half is, as he's done that, we have experienced quite a bit of success. So I think we can expect some of that same over these next 2 games.
Let me ask you what you've learned about Pablo in the year and a half since you've been back. Obviously, for a number of years, you made your name and your living as a coach, and you're in the front office now. And you guys were familiar with each other as opponents, and you played against each other. And I don't know how well you knew Pablo before landing. I'm sure you guys were very familiar. But in the year and a half, what have you learned about Pablo as a coach and as a man?
What I'm most impressed with Pablo is the emotionality with which he does his job, and the buy-in that he gets from all of the players that seem pretty clearly to me they want to do well for him. So I think that those 2 qualities, if I was to rank the assets of a head coach in MLS, I think those 2 qualities would be very, very high. So really been impressed with his work. I still think that he's a young coach and a developing coach that's learning. And the most amazing part of that is that he has a huge growth mindset. So he's always open to feedback and always open to ideas, whether that be from leadership amongst the players or leadership in the front office. So it's been a terrific working environment and working relationship for the past year and a half.
My knowledge of formations is limited to what I use in FIFA. So, the video game. 4-2-3-1, 4-2-2-1, or excuse me, 4-2-2-2 with 2 strikers up top. Is he? Does it look like he's tinkering with formations a little bit, or is it dependent on the opponent? Is it dependent on the team, or is he kind of married? Like, I'll go back to what you used, that diamond, right? Like 4-1-2-1-2, I guess is the way to put that. Like, tell me about the system, the formation that he uses. Is it varied match by match, or is he trying to stick to one system and formation?
Well, it started out with a year and a half ago where we decided that the defensive shape would be a mixture between a 4-2-3-1 and a 4-4-2. And that's really just the difference between what is the second forward, or player that's often called the 10, a central attacking midfielder. What role does he take up in the defense? So that side of things has stayed extremely consistent. And then we utilize for, again, about a year and a half now, a 3-2-4-1 in possession, where we ask the left fullback to go high and we ask the right fullback to stay low. We ask one of the attacking midfielders to come inside, the left attacking midfielder to come inside, and essentially you end up with 2 central attacking midfield players under 1 striker. And I think that the coaching staff has felt that through this year that we needed to look for a plan B. And a plan B should be evolved or structured around who are the most important players. And so I believe that the thought is that when Diego has come back from the Gold Cup, how could we put Diego and Diogo in the best possible positions to succeed? And that was looking at, and also I think, as you identified earlier, I think there's a notion that we need to be a bit more brave. Maybe need to put a few more players into the attacking half of the field and take some more risks. So those are the reasons that Pablo has settled on this 4-2-2-2.
On the lineup slide, Gozo is, where the 10 would naturally be placed. Is he being asked to kind of fill that role as the 10 right now?
Yeah, 10 in as much as second forward. So over the past, as of 2 games ago and 3 or 4 or 5 before that, he was starting off in this sort of 10 position. But what was being asked of him was to be running in behind the opponent's back 4 all the time. And so now it's just a slight tweak where we're actually making that even more clear to say, okay, Gozo, you're actually just a second forward and not a 10. So it's just a slight tweak.
How do you feel his progress is coming? I don't know, maybe 2 months ago when I had you on, I said I feel like you have something with this kid. I didn't know much about him then, but it feels like every match, even if he's not scoring, he's providing dangerous opportunities. Is that fair?
Absolutely. Really, we have all been so impressed with Goza's performance this season. It has maintained a really high level. We also are cautiously optimistic in that we know that he's a very young player, and this is a very difficult thing to do in MLS for long stretches. So we are sort of thinking, there may be a little bit of a downturn, and we need to be able to be proactive about that. So, like for instance, in this last game, I would say it was probably one of his weaker performances, but that's okay. So we run him out there again, and if that starts to come those kind of performances come back to back, then we need to be able to shift and take a little bit of the pressure and onus off of a young player like that.
There's one player who has played every minute for you this year, and it's interesting when you compare it to what happened last year between the pipes and goal. And I'm not trying to run down Gav or Zach, because Zach maybe wasn't healthy and Gavin's young, but how would you articulate the way Rafa Cabral has kind of settled things in goal this year?
Yeah, it's clear in my mind that Rafa is the standout performer for our team in 2025. He has been consistently very, very good, if not excellent. What he gives us when we are in possession is some real calm and real clarity. He makes really good game management decisions as well about whether he should be playing short or playing long. He knows how to relieve the pressure for us. And then out of possession, he's made some unbelievable saves. So top performer for RSL in 25.
What's he like in the locker room? What's he like off the pitch? What's he like just as a teammate and as a leader?
He's a terrific leader, terrific vocal leader who leads the group. Through his words. He's also understands that there's a portion of a leadership role that he needs to help Pablo and give Pablo feedback. And they've got a really nice leadership committee started, and he's a big part of that.
Can I ask who else is on that leadership committee?
Justin Glad, Emeka Anelli, Philip Quinton, and Diogo Gonçalves.
Did you not feel like you should at least ask me if I was interested?
Well, what they do is they actually bring in a player every week that's different to add to that leadership group. So I'll see if we can get you signed up for this week.
Okay, I can give you 10 minutes at left back. I'm not pressing forward, just so you know.
Are you left-footed?
Well said. Right back. I am entirely right-footed. And to be clear, my only addition will be if the ball falls to my feet, I will clear it up the field. Other than that, you can't rely on me for anything.
Nice. I like that.
I wanted to ask you, we were talking about this earlier. It's a cliched thing in sport, any level, to talk about culture building. And oftentimes it feels like cultures are celebrated after trophies are lifted and after wins come consistently. But that's just because people see the results of culture that oftentimes is built over the course of a number of years. And you've been tasked to do this in a number of different places. And I feel like there are teams, the teams that have the best culture, you can actually say what it is out loud. Frank Layton passed away last week at the age of 93. And as a result of Frank's passing, I know you know Frank, and he was a big fan of yours, and obviously you spoke to him when you were the coach of RSL. In preparation for the show we did on Monday that was in honor of Frank, I watched a bunch of video and went back and looked at a number of different things. And he was able to be reductive about what he wanted from his players oftentimes and break it down to things like be on time, play hard, and play smart. How would you articulate the RSL culture, what you're trying to build, and where you're at in that process?
Oh, that's a great question. For me, culture involves everything that surrounds us as a club. So both the people that work there, on the front office staff, equipment managers, the coaching staff, the players, it involves all of us, and it is literally everything that surrounds us. So for me, culture starts with alignment, and alignment from ownership to front office, from front office to coaches and the rest of the soccer staff, from the rest of the soccer staff and coaches to the players. Is that alignment strong? Are we all speaking the same language? Do we all understand our identity? Do we all buy into our mission statement? I think that at RSL now, and Royals coming online with this, I think we have that. We have developed and we have that structure. New ownership has been very clear with us that their values are the same as ours. And so that's been really, really good. So it starts with alignment. It then moves to, as I said before, everything that surrounds the players. And when I think about that, I think about infrastructure. I think about, do we have the best facilities? Do we have the best training fields? Do we have a fantastic gym for our players to work at? Do we have a great meal? And do we provide great food? And all of those minor details that go into that, I think, are critical for our culture. And then it speaks to a little bit of identity. And I think clearly, in my opinion, the identity of Real Salt Lake has never changed, and it never will change. It has to always be about the team. It has to always be about the bonds between all of the members in the club, how critical those are to give us a chance to succeed. Because I don't believe that Real Salt Lake is ever going to look out there and say, we have all the best players in the country. No, I don't think it's ever going to be that. I think it's going to be we have the best cohesive, the most cohesive team, and a clear understanding of who we are and what we're trying to accomplish. So there's a lot that goes into it. And you are absolutely correct. It's a big thing for me, a big thing that I'm continuing and always will be focused on, and I'm a big believer in it. And what's incredible is that this new ownership group has made it very clear that they are as well.
I wonder if we could reduce all of that to one phrase. Maybe I'm just thinking out loud, like the team is the star.
That was a bygone era.
What?
But yeah, that message still resonates. Okay. That's absolutely true. Just as I said, we are not going to be a team full of stars. And so, yes, the team does need to be the star.
We are 1 week away, Jay, from the summer transfer window opening. Your head coach is on record saying he's expecting 4 additions. What are you expecting as we're a week away from the summer transfer window?
What I never like is the word expect.
Fair enough.
And so what I would say is I would rephrase that and say that we are looking to add several players in this transfer window. And ownership is, again, aligned very clearly with this. We want to improve this team. We want to go on a pathway that we can consistently compete for championships, and we understand that we need to make additions to make that happen. So we are looking at adding players in an effort to improve things. We are looking to add top-level players, difference maker type players, in this transfer window, but we are not basically dead set on that. If we don't find the players that are the correct fit, we will then wait until the summer to make that type of an addition. But we are very focused on doing everything we can to bring this team up to the level that all of the fans expect and deserve.
Tonight's a big test. It's a good team. They're undefeated in 10 at home, and they've climbed up the table. Tell me about Portland. What are you guys up against tonight?
Yeah, Portland's a very good team. They're having a great season. Obviously, I know their coach very well, having worked with him for 2.5 years, and Phil Neville. And what Portland is interestingly enough, what Portland has always been. It's a team that is extremely athletic, extremely dangerous on the break, on the counterattack. And so, first and foremost, we need to be really responsible with the ball in difficult and dangerous areas, and then we need to be reacting extremely quick to transition to defend or foul if needed to stop counterattacks.
Before I set you loose, Atlanta United releases a statement that one of your good friends and your co-creator of the golden era of Real Salt Lake, Garth Lagerwey, has taken a leave of absence as he's undergoing treatment for cancer. I've exchanged a few messages with him, and seems like his spirits are high. Just your thoughts on this challenge that your good friend finds himself in.
Yeah, it's I guess I guess we get to this age where we start to quickly realize that life can be short, and there's massive challenges in front of all of us. And so what I would say is that the first I heard of this was about a month ago. Garth called me and wanted to tell me personally before I'd heard it from anywhere else. Really scary moment when you hear that from such a close friend and such a close confidant. But, you know, at 2 or 3 weeks later, I spoke to him again this past week when it came out publicly, and he's in a pretty good place. So he's had a very successful first surgery. And now he's down in Houston at MD Anderson to receive several months worth of chemotherapy. So my thoughts and prayers go out to him and his family. But I'm also very confident. I feel very positive that everything's going to end up in a good way.
Good luck tonight, my friend. Safe travels. Appreciate the time.
Thank you very much, bud. Bye-bye.
Jason Kreis, RSL Club Director. Game day for RSL. They're taking on Portland at Providence Park. It is an 8:30 kick local. It's a later time. You can see it on Apple Television. All right, we will catch a quick break. Coming up next, we'll go to Vegas. Not literally. We're staying here. But the NBA Summer League rolls on. Zach Harper will stop by. Then we'll launch into the 5 o'clock hour of the program before we say goodnight at 6 on a Wednesday edition of The Drive. Good to have you along for the ride right here on ESPN 700. I hate this so much. I hate it so much. Are there any good Pitbull songs like
This one.
No, this is not like there has to be
Hotel room service.
There has to be some that are palpable. There has to be like one or two that are decent.
The anthem, the party anthem one.
That sucks too. Are there deep cuts like maybe Pitbull tracks that we haven't heard of?
Kulo.
Will you look for some deep cuts next time? Because this is so bad.
I think this is a deep cut.
Just puts me in the worst mood. But what puts me in a good mood is Zach Harper on a Wednesday live in Vegas. Hello, Zach. How are you?
I was okay. I got to be honest. I got to say, you got Pitbull and Lil Jon on a track, and you're upset.
Yeah, I'm angry. It puts me in a bad mood, like viscerally.
I guess this would be like if Lakers fans were upset that Kareem and Magic were on a team together.
Well played. What's the Zach Harper Vegas vibe? Are we poolside? Are we at a table?
Oh, I escaped. I'm back home.
Oh,
I got out of there. I was there 6 nights.
Oof.
That was enough. That was plenty. So yeah, there was some poolside. There was a little bit of tables, but I am back in the comforts of Los Angeles. I had to get out.
If we are honest, 3 nights is too many. 6 nights sounds like a ask, man.
60 hours is the ideal amount of time in Vegas.
Did you end up up or down? Did you make any money or did you lose your shirt?
No. I made a little bit of money, but I also did not get it was weird. It's weird when you're there that long. Like I gambled the first couple of days, and then I was like, I think I'm good. I don't think I need to keep going. Yeah. It wasn't like a tremendous amount of money. It was decent, but it wasn't like it was nothing to where I felt like, yeah, let's keep this going. It's just the same thing all the time.
Yeah, man, it's rough. Did you have any mornings that required more than 2 Advil?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
I had a couple of those. Yeah.
What was the max Advil like? Did you have a 4 Advil morning?
Well, I'm hashtag built different, snort emoji, so I don't take anything for it, but I do quickly head down to that coffee shop in the lobby and make sure to grab a strong coffee. As strong as they'll make it.
Do we try to sweat it out? Do we hydrate, or do we just push through?
Definitely hydrate. The key is you got to hydrate before you go to sleep.
Yep. Oh, for sure.
That's the key. You got to hydrate before you go to sleep. So I luckily did that, but it's still, you get to those open bar situations, and there's only so much you could. I'm but a man.
Dude, at our age, it's like not even an option.
Yeah.
You're suffering.
No, it's awful.
All right. Well, welcome home. I will say this. While it's not worth the 6-night adventure, the feeling of getting home is actually something that makes it a little bit worth it. It's so relieving.
Yeah, and I always make sure that, when I clean the apartment completely before I leave. I make sure there are fresh sheets on the bed. I just make sure everything is in order to where I get back, I unpack my stuff, I throw laundry in the machine, and then I get right into bed. And it is it's the best way to go. If you prepare before you leave for the trip, the return home, especially on a Vegas trip, is as good as it gets.
So we've discussed the dating scene in Los Angeles, and I officiated a wedding over the weekend in Orange County. So I experienced a little bit of the summer solstice. We're manifesting our reality. What's the female dating scene? What's the vibe like in Las Vegas?
In Las Vegas, I don't know that dating is the word. I don't know that the word date is the operative word there.
Sure,
I would say you see some interesting choices happening between parties, and I'm sure some of them are transactional.
It doesn't feel like it would be as much like Sonoma Reiki healing. That energy doesn't feel like it exists in Vegas.
No, the healing you're getting is like an IV the next morning. That's the healing you're getting.
Who'd you see? Give me some celebrity sightings. Who'd you spend time with? What was the scene like?
Well, what was cool is I went and saw Nas perform.
Nice.
Nas performed with the Las Vegas Orchestra, and so he performed. It's like some anniversary of his album Illmatic. So I watched him perform that, and then after they're done with that album, then the orchestra goes away. He's got a DJ, he's got a drummer, a bassist, a guitar player, and then he just performs hits for the crowd. That was fantastic. Like if you get a chance to see that, I highly recommend it. And then trying to think of celebrities. I saw, Jason Sudeikis was all over there.
Oh, nice.
Ted Lasso. He was all over the place for Summer League.
You have my permission to change your walk-up song to Nas if you want to escape the Pitbull bit.
Well, it's not a bit. I mean, I like them both. They're both legends. They're both two of the greatest to ever do it.
No, they're not. They're not both legend. One is a legend. The other is a hack.
Don't say that about Nas. Nas is great. Nas is an all-timer. Don't say that.
Moving forward, Porter, Zach just gave us permission. We can do Illmatic instead of Pitbull, if that's what you want. It's your hit.
Porter, I don't think those are safe for radio. Don't do it.
Okay, fair enough. They're probably not. All right. I guess we'll talk some basketball. Dude, nobody plays. There's no point in watching these games. It's ridiculous.
Oh,
What's the conversation like live there as every single good player has been shut down?
I can tell you as VJ Edgecombe was shut down, once we got to 2 games with the Sixers and once we got to 2 games with the Jazz, and no Ace Bailey, I can tell you a lot of people around Summer League were turning on the California Classic and the Salt Lake City Summer League.
Yeah.
Wondering why these exist before Summer League, why these gets priority for the draft picks, that are taken there high in the draft. That became a real topic of conversation of just what are we doing here? If Vegas is the draw and Vegas is the official one where all 30 teams are supposed to participate and we're supposed to, you've got these banners and all this art around to promote these players and using these players to promote and sell tickets and everything, then why are these other summer leagues allowed to come first? If anything, they should be second after the Vegas Summer League action. So that became a very big frustration for a lot of people, not just in attendance, but covering the games. And I think that became a big talking point. And it's nothing new. We've seen that before. It's happened before. Sometimes it's just bad circumstance. I mean, VJ hurt his thumb or his wrist. I don't know exactly what the Ace Bailey injury was, but you see 2 of those. Those are 2 picks 3 and 5 in the draft, and 2 picks that everybody wants to see. They want to see how that looks on the court. They want to see it in the Summer League environment. And the fact that those guys didn't get on the court because of injuries, supposedly sustained in a previous Summer League the week prior, that was a big anger point for a lot of people.
Do you think we're moving towards a reality where Vegas could be the only summer league that actually exists?
I don't know. I don't know if that's the case. I don't know if Adam Silver has that in him to wield that. I mean, getting rid of Orlando was a surprise. I never thought that would actually go away. But then these other ones popping up, I feel like there's always going to be something that pops up because, it's a little more political than people realize with this. I don't know, I don't know how inside basketball people want to get, but there does seem to be this kind of middle finger to certain people putting on Vegas Summer League to have these other ones, or at least that's the assumed reason for some of it, right? And so if it's a political thing, Adam Silver doesn't really drop the hammer when it comes to this stuff, right?
No, he doesn't. Do you think it's silly I'm going to ask you this question because this is the issue with the regular season. Is there any sort of conversation about trying to fix these teams, shutting these players down in order for the people that flew to hang out in 120-degree weather to do their jobs to actually have the ability to do the job they're paid there to do?
I don't know. I don't know if there's kind of this galvanizing idea to fix it. I think the idea, the kind of unspoken rule of thumb is let's try to make them available the first weekend and then do what you want, right? Getting 2 games out of Cooper Flag's all right, that's good. Getting 2 games out of certain players, you're okay, that's fine. You can shut them down now. It does seem to be get in that first weekend. If you do that, job satisfied, and then let's just get everyone as healthy as we can towards the regular season. Because also these games, while you are selling tickets to them and while you are promoting them and you do have them on TV, and it is a big product for the NBA, right after the draft and during free agency, it does matter to them. I don't want to say it doesn't, but ultimately they are meaningless games, right? You don't want to risk injury too much, and all that can be fluky, but if you force Cooper Flagg to play a 3rd and 4th game and then he tore his knee or something, or became the 9th Achilles tear of the past calendar year, I don't know that would go over well either. So I do think there's a delicate balance. And I think the idea is just make people available that first weekend.
There were 8 Achilles tears this last year.
Yeah.
Dude.
3 of them on the Pacers.
Oh, my gosh. That's wild.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. All right. For our listeners' sake, I've been to a ton of summer leagues, both here in Vegas and elsewhere. I'm grateful that I didn't make it down. It would have been good to see you, but I don't know that I have the next gear that you do at my stage in life. Just how hard is it to really analyze who these players are based off of what the summer league brings? I mean, these are new refs trying to get jobs in the NBA. These are coaches that really haven't been head coaches at this level before. There are plenty of high-level players, but there are also players that will never see an NBA court, and a lot of these guys are fighting for jobs, which makes, for chaotic basketball. How difficult is it to analyze talent in the ecosystem that is summer league basketball?
Yeah, I don't mostly care about results, right? A guy could go 5 of 15, 5 of 20, and if they're creating good shots and they're just not falling, that's really all I'm looking for. For me, I'm just looking for decision making. How do they react to certain situations? How are they trying to create for themselves and for others? That's all I'm ever looking for. If they have a great game, fantastic. But if they're making good decisions and the shot's just not falling and you think that they can normally make those shots, then it's not like an end of the world situation. Cooper Flagg's first game, to me, was emblematic of the big flaw that I see in his game, which is ball handling, right? I don't think he's a good ball handler. He's just not. And every time I say this, they're like, "Oh no, he's fine." It's not against NBA talent. Against NBA defenders, this is going to be something he vastly needs to improve on. And we saw that in the first game. Even on shots he made, on a jump shot he made, the gather into the release point isn't clean, and that's all due to just balance and being able to dribble the basketball in a certain way. And it's stuff that's very correctable. But if you're going to tell me he's going to come in here day one and be a franchise changer right away, I think that's a big part of it, and I don't think that's going to be the case. But he can work his way up to that at a certain point and realize that potential. But to me, that game one, it was not that he shot 5 of 21. It was the way he shot 5 of 21. He was a mess in trying to get those jump shots off cleanly because of that lack of skill point. But the other stuff he did, whenever he caught the ball on the move, whenever him playing defense, all that stuff, his passing, all that was great. All that was as advertised. So that decision making was great. You want to see certain guys, you want to see how they react to things. You want to see, what they're able to do. But comparing that to Jeremiah Fears, his second game, I think he went 5 of 20 or something like that. And that game was way more concerning than anything Cooper Flagg had in that first game because there was nothing else that came with that shooting. He was forcing the issue. He wasn't really testing things out. He wasn't really trying to experiment. He was struggling, and he was struggling with decisions. He was trying to draw fouls. And so there's just little things here and there that to me, it's all about at least how I'm perceiving that decision-making to go.
Non sequitur, did John Hollinger buy an acai bowl with a side of ranch dressing?
Right. So there is there's concession stands all over that concourse in the Thomas and Mack Center. There are multiple pizza stands. One of the pizza stands, this is the right side of the board is all the drinks you can buy. The left side of the board goes like this: pepperoni pizza, cheese pizza, acai bowl, ranch dressing. And the ranch is just like a dipping cup for your pizza or whatever. Some people dip it in ranch. I don't personally, but some people do that. Enough people to when I brought that up, they're like, no, the ranch is normal. I said, yeah, but the acai bowl is not. That doesn't go.
And Hollinger bought an acai bowl with the side of ranch. How does that, that's straight to jail behavior. How does that even work?
This is the worst part. They didn't even question it.
Jeez.
There was no, are you sure you want that and the ranch? There was none of that. And then John, he ate the bowl. He didn't use the ranch, and then he pawned it off maybe on Kevin Pelton. As he left the table.
Pelton feels like a guy that would just eat the ranch without anything else.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what kind of quality ranch dressing it was, but maybe it would.
Let me ask you about Dylan. Dylan Harper, we saw him play against the Jazz the other night. Didn't shoot it out well, but he looks like a beast, man. He can get to his spots and he can get to the bucket. What do you see from Dylan Harper?
I was super impressed with his game against Dallas. I thought that first game that he played was absolutely phenomenal. He looked so in control of everything he wanted to do. His body control was incredible. His decision-making was incredible. Defensively, he was super aggressive and a real difference maker, and it was everything as advertised. Like, yeah, he didn't play as well against the Jazz the next game, but I saw enough to be like, yep, that's the second pick in the draft. Like, that absolutely should have been the guy behind Cooper Flagg. He looks so comfortable on the floor, and he is so versatile. And playing defense in summer league is different than playing defense in real NBA games. But if he's able to even compete defensively at his size with any kind of switchability between ones and twos, he's going to give them so many options with those lineups. You will be able to run lineups where it's him and Fox and Castle at times. Like, I just think I was super impressed. It's the first time I had seen him play in person, and I thought he was a world beater.
Con Knippel shot up draft boards over the 6 weeks prior to the draft. I don't know if it was individual workouts or whatever it was. I'm not going to dismiss or anoint anyone based off of a few summer league games. I am skeptical about his ability long term for a guy that was drafted number 4. It felt like to me that was a bit high. But what did you see from Con Knippel during a couple of games?
Yeah, I didn't understand him shooting up the draft boards. Like, if he was going to go in that 8 to 12 range, sure, I have no problem with that. Him going 4th, above Ace Bailey, above Trey Johnson, I didn't understand that. To me, that was just such a confusing selection by Charlotte. But again, it's Charlotte, so even though they have new management, they've got new ownership, they've got a new coach, you still have to prove you're no longer the Hornets, and so. Yeah, I was not impressed. I think my biggest problem with him is I believe he's about 6'6", and he plays like he's 6'1". He doesn't play like a wing. And I don't mean that in he moves like a guard. Like, he plays short. He plays shorter than he is, and I think that's going to be an issue for him until he can figure out how to create space consistently or get that shot off cleanly. I saw the game I saw up close where I really concentrated on was his first game. He shot miserably. I think the only made bucket he had was a breakaway dunk, and he missed, wide open threes, wide open jumpers. I know the shot is going to be relatively consistent. I know he has a pure shot. I know that shooting ability is legitimate, and so I don't worry about that so much. But I do worry about a lot of the other stuff with him. He's strong, but is he quick enough to defend? He's not long enough to defend at that position. So you really have to be careful about how you use them defensively when you have him and LaMelo Ball in the backcourt together. I have a lot of questions about that pick, and I did not walk away feeling like any of them have been answered positively.
I know you didn't get to see Ace. He played a couple of games here, and there was some good, there was some bad because he's 18. And look, the deck has been cleared by Austin Ainge this year for these young players to play. We've been talking about this throughout the course of the past couple of weeks. It finally feels like the Jazz have chosen a lane. It's been 3 years of a clunky, what exactly are you doing here? Manipulating minutes, being unserious about competing. I think that makes it really hard to establish any sort of a culture, and I still don't know what the culture is they're trying to establish. But with Austin in charge, I kind of respect what he's done. Where he's settled, in my opinion, for deals that did not bring a lot of value for veteran players. And it felt like whether it was Danny or Zanuck or whatever, they were a little bit stubborn about their asking price for veteran players who just don't have a lot of value around the league. And Austin comes in, he's like, we're just getting rid of them, and then we're going to start over. And it's tough to ask the fans to suffer through that after what is supposed to be a 3-year period where you were actually trying to build a culture and start over and rebuild. So I won't ask you about what you saw from Ace because you didn't see it, but what were some of the conversations you had in Vegas? What are people saying about Ace Bailey to the Jazz?
Yeah, I think people still question how much he wants to be there, but again, I've had a real issue with the way this whole Ace Bailey conversation has gone since right before the draft through probably right now and what it's going to be in the future. People are saying, oh, how could he be this way? What gives him the right? What all this stuff? I think he's a 19-year-old kid who has trusted someone to be, his manager or whatever you want to call this guy. And he's trusted him because, all right, this is an adult that he's known for a long time and someone whose son has made the NBA. And I think this guy's giving pretty rough advice on how to approach this stuff. I don't fault a 19-year-old for trusting someone, that they shouldn't trust. Like I think that's a tough decision to make, and I believe he has other people that could help steer that decision elsewhere. So I like this whole idea of like Ace Bailey's a problem with this and problem with that. Like everybody I've talked to, in the college basketball games, that like they rave about him. I don't worry about the personality. I could end up being wrong about that. I just think the conversation about him has been very unfair to him. Talent-wise, I think a lot of people are intrigued. I think a lot of people want to see what, version are you going to get of him night in and night out. There are obviously going to be rough scoring nights and rough shooting nights because he's a young player and they're not going to be very good. And you hope they're organized, but with so many young players that we think are going to be in that rotation probably at least the second half of the season, if not earlier, it's just hard to get consistency there. I just want to see, it sounds so cliche, but with him, I want to see him just kind of get a little bit better every single month. And that's not always going to be linear, but I think if he's better at the end of the season than he was at the beginning, I think that shows the growth you want to see. And I believe that once you see him on the court consistently, I think all that conversation that's been around him that we've heard in Vegas and heard before this stuff about like the personality and the troubling, trying to stay away from these teams, I think all that's going to go away. Like I think it's such a mishandled conversation, and I'm saying mishandled by the media, mishandled by people who are supposed to talk about this. I think it's been really unfair to him, and I think if anything, like the adult that's mentoring him, go blame that guy. Don't blame the 19-year-old.
Well said. If Isaiah Collier has been working on his jump shot, he needs to get a new shooting coach. He could not hit the broad side of a barn in Vegas. Yeah. I'll tell you what, man. I like this Walt Clayton Jr. kid. He's older than Isaiah. He's more well-rounded. He's heady. He's steady. He's a shot maker. How do you think this point guard battle plays out with Collier and Walt Clayton Jr. in camp?
I think if Clayton doesn't end up with the job, like the full-time job, like by December, then he's probably gotten injured.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorite guys in the draft. He obviously made a great run at Florida this year on the way to the championship. And he's just such an adult on the floor, which is weird to say about a rookie coming in, but he doesn't, like, even on the turnovers, like I don't even mind his turnovers that I've seen. Like he makes good gambles. He's kind of, seeing what he can do and what he can't do. And then just as a scorer and as a guy who kind of steadies things, he is just such a calming, mature presence on the floor. And I thought that was one of the steals of the draft, but I've been big on him for months. Like ever since, I'm not going to pretend like I've known about him for years and believed in him for years, but seeing him second half of that college season, especially through the tournament run, I just, there are people who are saying, like, I don't know if he's a first-round pick, and I was thinking, I don't know how he's not a top 20 pick. Like, he just seems like such a sure thing to me.
I'm with you. I'll ask you about one more prospect. He's a local kid, and it hasn't looked great so far, but we will put the context every time we talk about it, that Summer League is Summer League. Yegor Demon played his college ball at BYU.
Yeah.
He's one of, like, 7 international point guards the Nets drafted or whatever, so we'll see how that plays out. But what'd you see watching Yegor Demon with Brooklyn?
Yeah, I mean, I watched 2 games up close with him, and the jump shot looked pretty good. I think he shot 40% on like 15 attempts from 3 in those 2 games. So it wasn't as much of a mess as I remember it. It wasn't as much of a mess as I remember, in the tournament or a couple of games I saw before that. Obviously, a very skilled passer. I mean, maybe the best passer in the draft, and you love his size at 6'8". There's a difference between being a 6'8" point guard and being a 6'8" playmaker. Like, there's just 2 very different things. I'm not convinced he's a 6'8" point guard. I think he can be a playmaker who's 6'8". It's not, none of it's going to matter significantly if he can't be a consistent shot maker. And it doesn't mean he has to, turn into Klay Thompson or anything. He can't be someone that the defense doesn't respect. Right, like he can't be Ben Simmons in that respect in terms of scoring and shooting, and so it looked better than I expected on that end of the floor. But he also made a bunch of tough decisions and a bunch of tough shot decisions and some turnovers here and there. But I do like the prospect of him. I don't know what he is. That's the thing that's troubling me. And I think the issue with him in Brooklyn. Like, I guess they're going to roster 5 rookies, which I don't remember that ever happening, or 5 first-round pick rookies. And I'm not sure any of them can play right away. So he's going to really have to create some chemistry with Nick Claxton and Michael Porter Jr. in order to get good consistency in terms of the playmaking so that his game can open up a little bit. But I walked into Vegas being very skeptical about him. I walked away feeling a bit better from what I saw.
Away from Summer League, because a notable NBA offseason storyline actually did unfold today. And as you always remind us, the Clippers going to clip. But I'll tell you what, on paper, man, that's a roster that people need to pay attention to. Brad Beal, bought out by the Suns, joins the Clips. What's your take?
I think it's a great pickup for the money, right? 2 years, $11 million, and to bring in Bradley Beal on that kind of a deal is a no-brainer. I saw a lot of people lauding their depth and lauding their rotation and lauding that starting lineup. If their starting lineup is going to be John Collins, Bradley Beal, James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, Ivica Zubac, 3 of those guys can't defend, right? And one of those guys you hope is going to be there in April, May. So I'm more worried about the Collins starting prospect than I am about Beal and Harden together. But also, like, you go to the playoffs with Beal and Harden in your backcourt, it's a lot of skill, it's a lot of talent. Do you feel like you're definitely going to get great play out of them? Do you feel like you're definitely going to get both those guys showing up? Like, I don't think so, but you had to do the signing just in case. It is very low risk, high reward. And maybe most importantly, maybe that, these moves are just about getting Kawhi less responsibility, less mileage in the regular season, so he is healthy in the postseason. If that does the job, I'll trust that to be the right move, and because it is all about just getting him healthy for the postseason.
All right, Zach, before we set you loose, we had a sad piece of news in our market last week. Frank Layden passed away at the age of 93. There are very few people that are more responsible for both, just the presence of the Jazz and the long-term success of the Jazz, quite like Frank. When I say the name Frank Layden, what comes to your mind, Zach Harper?
Here comes to mind is like all those like NBA action shows and like inside stuff and everything. It seemed like there were always clips or any of those clip shows about like 80s and 90s basketball. Frank Layden just seemed like such and I don't mean this in like, I hope this comes off in the right way. He just seemed like such a character, right? Like, he seemed like he was having so much fun. He seemed like he just loved basketball. Everyone that I've talked to or heard from about him over the years just raved about him. And so he was obviously just an icon. I don't think just in Utah Jazz basketball. I think in the NBA he was a very well-respected coach, a well-respected executive, a well-respected just basketball figure. And so anytime you lose people like that from the NBA family, it's tragic and it's sad. But to me, I just always have these memories of like these little, like almost those mic'd up segments on the sideline and him just cracking me up. Like that's what I remember from those shows that were on Saturdays.
All right, buddy, I'll let you get back to that bed. Hydrate. Welcome home. Good job. You made it. You did it. Have a great week, bud. We'll chat soon, okay?
Only another year left.
Oh, goodness gracious. Zach Harper spent 6 nights in Las Vegas. That is criminal behavior. Appreciate Zach's time. He writes for The Athletic, has a bunch of different podcasts, hardworking guy. Give him your support at Talk Hoops on social media is where you find him. We'll catch a break. We'll get to the 5 o'clock hour of the program. Drewski is on the red carpet for the ESPYs. I don't know who this person is. Oh, wait, yes, I do. He played in the Celebrity All-Star Game during All-Star Weekend. He's a YouTube influencer.
There you go.
What the hell has happened to society? I think you could be an excellent YouTube influencer.
Okay.
Birds and such. Hiking.
I'd have to quit my job,
Well, then you can't do that because I don't want to break in another producer. All right, we'll catch a break. 5 o'clock hour of the show comes your way next, right here on ESPN 700. All right, let's get it Drive at 5 time Wednesday afternoon style. Congratulations. You're halfway through that work week. You are one day closer to the weekend. Another scorching hot Utah summer day outside, and as it is every day, it's good to have you along for the ride. Spence Checketts behind the mic, Porter Larson behind the glass today, producing and booking the show. We are high speed ahead to the ESPYs. Oh, baby. Which ESPY are you most excited to see awarded tonight?
What awards do they give out?
Have you ever watched the ESPYs? I think once upon a time I tried. I will tell you this: Shane Gillis is hosting the ESPYs tonight.
He's funny.
He is funny. It is the red carpet, and shout out to our guy Dave McMenamin. I have not seen Tim McMahon. Oh, Tim's on vacation. Tim was not invited. And let's be honest, Dave was invited because he's married to Malika.
And Tim McMahon, I would assume, avoids. If he was invited to the ESPYs, he would go. He would go somewhere else out of spite, I think.
I feel like he would show up in like cowboy boots. But my guess is the reason I bring it up is the red carpet is like all ESPN personalities.
Yeah,
it's like Sports Center dudes and folks that work for ESPN. I wonder if our guy Scooby McGeeza's there.
No, he's on the ground, I think, in Utah.
Is he here in Salt Lake?
So no, you're gonna have to tune into the ESPYs to see like Stephen A. and Kendrick Perkins and all those characters.
So yeah, this it indicates like the slowest day in sports, really on the calendar year. Last night was the Major League Baseball All-Star Game. For the first time, it went to the swing-offs, which was kind of cool. Both managers picked 3 batters to take 3 swings to try to hit home runs.
Great name, by the way.
The swing-off?
Yeah.
I feel like our friends out in Draper would give 2 thumbs up for the name. Hey, inside joke, get it? Did you get it?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough.
I like that.
I actually thought it was somewhat entertaining. I wonder if the NBA could actually borrow something to make their horrible All-Star game somewhat exciting. But yeah, ESPYs tonight, and that really is about it. But we're lucky from a local standpoint because if you're an RSL fan, Real Salt Lake in action tonight, 8:30. You can see it on Apple TV. Unfortunately, they don't have radio coverage anymore, which is too bad. So we do get a little RSL action tonight. Brad Beal has been bought out by the Phoenix Suns. He is going to join the LA Clippers on a 2-year, $11 million deal. The Utah Jazz Summer League team technically is playing tonight, but there will be no Ace Bailey. There will be no Walt Clayton Jr. There will be no Kyle Filipowski. And John Tonje is also expected to be held out. I don't know who's going to play. So Summer League has never been all that exciting, but now it's just irrelevant, basically, if they're not going to let the best players play basketball. As the NBA continues their culture of being a corporation that does not mandate their employees show up for work. It is wild. So we do have some NBA offseason, little Major League Baseball, little soccer as well. If you missed Trevor Riley from earlier, stay tuned for the best of the show. Trevor's got a new gig. He's the general manager, and he will be coaching the linebackers for a new startup football team that they're hoping to make into a farm team to help Utah, BYU, and some of our local and state schools find kind of under-the-radar talent. So we'll replay that during our best of segment coming up on the program during the 6 o'clock hour. But let's learn more about the Jazz Summer League team. What has the play of Kyle Filipowski showed his coaches and his front office about what potentially he could be for the Jazz year 2? The latest on Ace Bailey, the latest on Walt Clayton Jr. Tim McMahon joined our show yesterday and reiterated his reporting that he does not believe Larry Markkanen will be traded. So it looks like this is it for the Utah Jazz. We'll bring in Andy Larson coming up on the other side from the Salt Lake Tribune. Then we'll move into the best of, where you're going to hear from Trevor Riley, who joined us earlier to talk some college football. It is day 3 of SEC Media Days in Atlanta. Big Ten announced today that they are still going to continue to stand pat at their belief that the new CFP format should include 4 auto bids for their league. And, of course, that means it would include 4 auto bids for the SEC. Is that Christopher Reeve's kid? It is. Will Reeve.
Will Reeve. He is like a reporter, like a CBS reporter, I believe.
Oh. Did you watch the documentary on Christopher Reeve on HBO?
I did.
Fascinating.
I did.
Really good.
And I think he's got a cameo in the movie. So the new Superman, Christopher Reeve's son, is like a report. His actual job, which is a reporter.
Oh, cool. Good for him. All right, we'll catch a break. Andy Larson joins us coming up on the other side of a Wednesday edition of The Drive right here on ESPN 700. The world of professional sports, or just sports in general, on the edge of their seat for the ESPYs. We don't have it on our radio station, right? We're not carrying the ESPYs on the station.
No, we're just replaying your interview with Trev.
That's better than the ESPYs.
Much better.
Best male athlete, Josh Allen, Saquon Barkley, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and Shohei Ohtani. Best athlete, women's sports, Simone Biles, Gabby Thomas, and Aja Wilson. Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone. Oh, the track star. She's very good. Best breakthrough athlete, Cooper Flagg, Chloe Humphrey, Paul Skeens. Best record-breaking performance, Gino Auriemma, Caitlin Clark, Kevin Durant, Alexander Ovechkin. Best championship performance, Simone Biles, Steph Curry, Freddie Freeman, Rory McIlroy. Best comeback athlete, Gabe Landeskog, that guy. SUNY League, Mallory Swanson, and Lindsey Vonn. Are all these people going to be there?
I would assume nominees go. I would assume so. Most of them.
If you were a guy like Shea, who just won MVP and just signed a $200 whatever million deal, I wouldn't go. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I'm probably with you. I don't know that I would go to the ESPYs. So if I were Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I think it's safe to say I'd probably be like in Cabo or something.
We got the Icon Award tonight. I don't know who that's going to be.
Stephen A. probably.
That's so true. I cannot believe what ESPN has turned into, but we appreciate being their affiliate.
I like booking their NBA guests.
Yeah,
outside of that, though, I'm with you. Like I turn it on. I'm like, what are we doing here? And tonight is kind of like a perfect summary of that, right? Mm-hmm. There's the 364 days where, like, I like to just watch basketball and react to what happened. I like to watch football and, maybe break down a 3-4 defense. I like to watch baseball, for the home runs and the pitches and stuff. And then there's like this huge faction of sports, which is about trying to make something else of the story, trying to make like a entertainment value and characters and storylines. And I get it. It's part of the game. We're media folks. We understand it. But I'm just not interested in it. I don't care who you're dating. I don't care what award you win. I just want to see you play or football or something.
I know you like breaking down the 3-4 defense. I'm more of a spider 2-wide banana guy, as you know.
There we go.
Because I'm steeped in the West Coast offense. I don't want to get too deep in it.
Right.
But
I'm more of like a 3-4, 4-3 defense, like the hybrid. You like to dive into the West Coast stuff, the Mike Leach, the Lavelle Edwards. It's a good parallel. It's a good contrast for the show.
Well, it's, I like really complicated blocking schemes and play action passes and route combinations.
I like it simple.
Yeah.
Line them up in the I formation, man on man.
That's fine. That's fine. If you can't keep up with my complicated route schemes, then I don't know what we're going to do.
I can't.
We'll have to bridge the gap. All right. That'll do it. Shane Gillis is hosting. That could be fun. We'll say goodnight, Porter. Oh, wait. Let me tease. Tomorrow, it's very exciting. We are lucky enough to have my favorite Sports Center anchor in town, Scooby McGeeza. He'll be with us tomorrow at the softball stadium, the Dumke Family Stadium. We're going to be live on site all day. It's Sports Center's 50 States in 50 Days. They sent one anchor to every single state, and we lucked out because my guy Scooby will be in the house. So what comes our way on a Thursday edition of the show?
On a Thursday edition of The Drive, live from the University of Utah and live with our friends at Sports Center. Pablo Mastroeni will react to, of course, tonight's game day against Portland and look ahead to a weekend of RSL action. We may talk to Stevenson Sylvester. He's kind of on standby as we are at the University of Utah. But we may be talking to some softball folks. We may be talking to Scooby. So the 3 o'clock hour is a little open. But we will talk to Jay Francis a little more as we continue what is going to be a week, maybe 2 weeks, maybe a year or so of remembering one Frank Layden.
There you go. So join us for a Thursday drive. We would love to see you up at the Dumke Family Stadium, live on site tomorrow on campus at the University of Utah for a fun Thursday show. Special thank you today to Andy Larson, Trevor Riley, Jason Kreis, and Zach Harper. For any of the sound you may have missed from the program today, go to the website. It's ESPN700sports.com. Make sure to download and support our podcast. It's called The Drive with Spence Checketts. It's available wherever you get your shows. You can also check out our app. Take us on the go. ESPN 700 app is available wherever you get your apps, Apple, Google Play, all that stuff. He's Porter. I'm Spence saying goodnight. Enjoy your Wednesday evening. We'll talk to you on a Thursday edition of The Drive live at the Dumke Family Stadium. As always, you can catch the action right here on ESPN 700.